It has been a terrific rivalry over the last few years between the Tigers and the Ramblin' Wreck. Perhaps this game, too, will go right down to the wire.
2 minutes remaining. Undefeated Clemson down by 3. Simmons running for his life. Throws it toward the end zone. Jump ball! Touchdown! Ron Gardner! 2nd and 10. 16 yards from the go-ahead touchdown. Dodsey to the end zone again, and it is caught! Touchdown, Kerry Watkins! They need 13 realistically to keep their hopes of winning this one alive. Has a man open! My goodness! McKelvey! Touchdown! 3rd down and 6. Dantzler keeps it. Dantzler! Touchdown! Clemson wins!
Pressure on the snap, the catch. Look at that. Look at that. Terrible snap. Loose ball.
Will they go for overtime or will they go twice for the win? There's for the win. Johnson got it. Touchdown. A miracle in South Carolina.
Never give up on a game. It is a beautiful homecoming Saturday in downtown Atlanta. Last year, Georgia Tech scored 3 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes to pull out a 28-24 win against Clemson. And this is a huge game for both teams as they try to get bowl eligible. And you see their ACC records. They play in different divisions. But this really has been a great rivalry. 8 of the last 9 games between these two teams decided by 5 points or less. Pam Moore joined by David Norrie. Jimmy Dykes will join us very shortly. Now, this Georgia Tech defense, very good. 18th in the nation, but they're taking on a Clemson offense with new offensive coordinator Rob Spence, averaging 100 more yards per game than last year, and Charlie Whitehurst, the quarterback, much improved.
Yeah, well, Charlie Whitehurst, he's back. He had the big sophomore season, really didn't deliver on the promise in his junior season. Now he's throwing the ball better than he ever has at Clemson. He had them knocking on the door in triple overtime against Miami, and look at his numbers over last year. Big, tall, classic pocket passer. It's great to see Charlie Whitehurst back.
His numbers are way up, and you take a look on the other side. Whitehurst is good for Clemson, but Calvin Johnson had 3 touchdown catches last year against his team, and he's only a true sophomore.
Well, this game put him on the map in college football a year ago. He's truly one of a handful of special offensive players in college football. I look to him to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. It's going to be interesting to see the way that Clemson plays him in the secondary throughout the afternoon.
Cornerback Ty Hill was burned a little bit in some of those plays last year, and Hill says he is looking forward to the rematch today, but look for him to get a lot of help back there. When we return, Jimmy Dykes will have much more on Calvin Johnson and the way Clemson will try to stop him. Football coming right around the corner.
Evergreen Investments.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by LA Rush. Pimped out, juiced up, flying high. LA Rush. Nivea for Men, more evolved skincare. And Budweiser Select. Finally, bold taste meets a clean finish. Expect everything.
Well, welcome back to Atlanta, getting all set for Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson's tall task, how do you stop Calvin Johnson? For more on that, let's go down to Jimmy Dykes.
Thank you, Pam. Last year's a true freshman wide receiver, Calvin Johnson, relied solely on his talent and his natural speed to get himself open. But this year at 6'4", 230 pounds, he's become a much more physical force offensively. Now, earlier this week, Clemson defensive coordinator Vic Koenning said on film Calvin Johnson is actually getting away with a lot of pushing off. Every game he's played this year, but he has not been called for at one time. He says it's like trying to defend Shaquille O'Neal. If the officials aren't going to call it, Shaquille O'Neal's going to catch it every time. Now, Calvin Johnson says he's only doing what he has to protect himself. Guys are being physical with him. He's going to be physical back. As long as he doesn't extend his arms, he says, I'm okay. The question mark is, how do the officials view it? But rest assured, who pushes who today, big part of this football game.
And there have been several pass interference penalties drawn by Johnson as Clemson will start out from its 20. Georgia Tech won the toss and deferred, so Clemson obviously decided to receive. Charlie Whitehurst, as we discussed in the open, is thriving in offensive coordinator Rob Spence's new system. How about 67% of his passes that he's completed compared to only 51% last year? What a way to go out for the senior.
Yeah, and what they've done on offense is they've given him more ways to run the football with the tight ends, the fullbacks. Last year he was a bit naked in the pocket. 4 wide receiver sets, and the running game has really been nice for Charlie Whitehurst to protect him, give him some help, and he's really matured as a result of the new offensive scheme.
Reggie Merriweather and Kyle Browning helping him out in the backfield. First snap of the game, and Whitehurst right away gets it to Chansi Stuckey, his leading receiver, and he only picks up about 3. The Nivea for men starting lineups. We take you to Clemson. Curtis Baham, one of the senior receivers. You saw Chansi Stuckey already with the catch. Bobby Williamson is the tight end. On the offensive line, the scheme puts a lot of shoulders on this line. Sophomore left tackle Barry Richardson is a true talent now in his second year starting, only a sophomore. Roman and Dustin Fry, by the way, not related. One from Ohio, one from South Carolina. 2nd and 7 now for the Tigers. And Merriweather, with his first carry, picks up 4, so about a 3rd and 3 coming up. Nivea for men's starting lineups continuing on now with the Georgia Tech defense, and Joe Anawai is starting even though he hurt his ankle last week against Duke. Eric Henderson has been playing a little banged up from his defensive end spot. Jarris Wilkinson, lots of film work off the field, and he applies it once he gets on as the senior linebacker in the middle. And in the secondary, Chris Reese, one of the team captains at strong safety, played outside linebacker last year. 3rd and 3 for the Tigers in their first possession of the game. Whitehurst hanging on to it. The coaches say that he is more athletic than he thinks he is, and he is able to pick up the first down. Wilkinson makes the stop, but it's 8 yards for Charlie. Tommy Bowden now in his seventh season coaching Clemson. He's won 60% of his games at Clemson. 3rd in wins behind legendary Frank Howard and also Danny Ford.
And Tommy Bowden, you look back a couple years, really had his job on the line late in the season for Clemson. Ran off 4 straight victories, and a couple of them were biggies. You know, Miami, actually Florida State, and Tennessee.
Clemson's MO has been big wins and then disappointing losses, as Whitehurst pass is just off the fingertips of Thomas Hunter, a senior from Marion, South Carolina. Chan Gailey with a lot of NFL experience, now in his 4th year as the head coach at Georgia Tech. 1-2 now against Clemson.
And you can see a lot of Chan Gailey's background at the NFL level as you watch this Georgia Tech team. He's going to run the ball at you. He's going to play zone pressure defensively, and mirror image of his Pittsburgh teams, and as well as his years with the Dallas Cowboys.
This Georgia Tech defense, a lot of zone pressure. John Tenuta is their coordinator. Whitehurst, no pressure that time. Baham, Curtis Baham with the catch, and he picks up 8 yards. Clemson moving the football so far in this first possession. Whitehurst, the son of David Whitehurst, who had a pretty good National Football League career. So Charlie, one of those guys who grew up around the game.
Yeah, and when you grow up around the game, you get a lot of help. And Charlie Whitehurst has been blessed athletically. He's a big, strong pocket passer, and he's shown the ability over the last 2 or 3 years to pull big upsets against teams that are ranked in the top 5, top 10 in the country.
6'4", 215, senior quarterback. Now 3rd and 2. Can they convert their 2nd straight 3rd down? Apparently not, but a flag comes down as Merriweather was tripped up by K. Michael Hall.
And nice use of the cadence by Whitehurst. He's going to pick up a first down here. Take a look at the top of the screen. Movement. And that's what a veteran quarterback can do with the snap count.
Offside, 56 in the defense. 5 yards from line of scrimmage. Penalty will result in a first down.
And Pam, this is a quarterback who goes all the way back to the 2001 season. He's played in a lot of big games, and the real crafty veteran quarterbacks save that snap count, that hard count, for a situation on 3rd and 5 or less, and they use it to move the chains.
Offsides on that play. Eric Henderson, the senior from New Orleans, who captain, one of the captains, a defensive end. So it's 1st and 10, and then again, way off sides, as you saw Adam Oliver just skipping right through the line for Georgia Tech.
Prior to the snap, defense unabated to the quarterback. Contact with the offense, 5 yards, still 1st down.
Well, this defensive front for Georgia Tech, they're not real big across the front. They're playing against a big physical offensive line in Clemson. So, you know, Clemson watches what Georgia Tech does on tape. They see the way they like to move. They're a bit undersized. They're stemming before the snap, moving after the snap. And Whitehurst comes into the game, and immediately he's using his snap count to button down that defensive front.
And he's worked a couple of times already, so now 1st and 5 after the most recent offside. Merriweather with another carry, and he is met right as soon as he gets the ball by the middle of the line. That is Henderson. He's going to lose a yard or two. Rob Spence, in his first year as the offensive coordinator at Clemson, was at Toledo for 4 years, kind of known as a mad scientist. A lot of wrinkles in his offense.
And you look at the improvement, over 100 yards off of last year, but I think Tommy Bowden wanted to go out and get an offensive coordinator that had running game in his background, a real stress on the running game, and it has been productive, and you can really see it in Tommy Bowden's quarterback's numbers. Charlie Whitehurst having a nice season.
And that's one reason why his numbers were down, according to the staff last year. Stuckey gets it from Whitehurst. A healthy gain. Wilkinson makes the stop, but not until a 21-yard gain for the Tigers.
Well, Georgia Tech is going to have a tall task this afternoon. They're going to have to get pressure on the passer. They like to play zone behind the pressure. And Charlie Whitehurst, with his experience, you give him time against a zone defense and the talent of his wide receiver core, he has an ability to pick you apart.
The Georgia Tech defense with 16 sacks on the season, but not much effectiveness in getting to Whitehurst so far today. Even to affect his throwing, the rollout, he's wide open and gets it to Bobby Williamson, and the tight end lumbers for another Clemson 1st down. So the offense clicking here in their first series.
And the offensive line is really getting good movement up front. And you establish a run threat with a physical offensive front. Watch, they'll fake the left side. Whitehurst, nice moves in the backfield with his faking ability, and just drops the ball off to his young tight end.
Bobby Williamson actually was a defensive end last year, got a sack, and is now back. 3 of his 4 years he has played the tight end position, and that's a huge gain now. So it's 1st and 10 from the 13. Merriweather again, this time around the left side. He got a good block by Thomas Hunter, and is this Clemson's? They have not lost a fumble all year. And Georgia Tech says they have the ball, but the officials say that Clemson hung on to it. Clemson, the only team in Division 1A that has not yet lost a fumble this season.
Well, Merriweather is a punishing back, and he's got a nice downhill style of running, stretching the the football ahead. And they may go ahead and review this upstairs, Pam.
2nd and 7, and there is the stoppage in play. Ron Gilbert, the replay official upstairs, and he will get a look at it to see if indeed this was a fumble.
Yeah, this is a situation where Merriweather is not protecting the football. You take a risk whenever you try to extend the football for additional yardage. You got to like the effort, but you expose the football. It looked like Dawan Landry, the free safety, came up with the football. The question is whether he's got a knee on the ground before he stretches that football forward, and it looks like he kept that knee off the turf.
The knee is on Philip Wheeler, the tackler, as he fell right on top of him.
And watch his right knee here. That knee stays up off the grass, off the surface, down on the playing field. And I think Georgia Tech's going to get this football.
And there you see 0 lost fumbles. No team has ever gone through an entire season in Division 1A without losing at least one.
That's an just an incredible statistic. And Tommy Bowden is missing his #1 tailback, James Davis. Davis and Merriweather have been splitting the carries this year, almost have identical numbers. But you see Merriweather stretching that football forward. The knee doesn't touch the turf. And I think after they review this, ball's going to go over to Georgia Tech. One more look from the end zone. And you're right, Pam. He stayed up on a Georgia Tech defender. I think there's a very definitely conclusive evidence that Merriweather lost control before going to the ground.
That was number 20, Dawan Landry, who was able to pounce on the football. There have been 3 teams in Division 1A football that got through a season losing only 1 fumble, all of them in the MAC. Bowling Green in 1996, Miami of Ohio in 1998, and Northern Illinois last year. Here's the decision.
Upon further review, the ball came out, was recovered on the 8 by Georgia Tech, 1st and 10.
So for the first time this year, the Clemson Tigers have lost a fumble. They got it all the way down to the 13-yard line, fumbled it away, and Reggie Ball and company have the ball when we return. Now, the Georgia Tech defense certainly did sting them as they were able to get a fumble recovery by Dawan Landry. How about a good drive wasted by Clemson? 9 plays, 72 yards, chewed up 4.5 minutes. David Whitehurst had 4 or 5 passes, but Merriweather fumbled it away. And here is Georgia Tech's first opportunity with the football. 1st and 10 from their own 8. Reggie Ball running the offense. P.J. Daniels, their running back, gets about 3 on 1st down. Reggie Ball, now a junior quarterback, worked on his footwork during the offseason. Last year, he threw 4 touchdown passes in that classic game against Clemson.
Yeah, you can't help but look back to his freshman year or the way he came in. I mean, he looked like he belonged in college football from the minute he stepped out in that opener against BYU 2003. And like Charlie Whitehurst, didn't really deliver in his 2nd year, playing a lot better off that 2004 season a year ago.
He had 18 interceptions last year, did Ball. Whitehurst 17. So you're right, very similar in that respect as that one sails over the head of everybody. 3rd and long coming up. The Nivea for Men starting lineups now. The Georgia Tech backs and receivers. We've already seen P.J. Daniels get the ball. And watch out for number 21, Calvin Johnson, leading the ACC in receptions. The Georgia Tech offensive line, only Brad Honeycutt is over 300 pounds, so they rely on angles and speed to make their blocks. And they don't have slight offensive linemen by design. They would like to get bigger guys, but right now, Honeycutt's the only 300-pounder. 3rd and 7 for the Yellow Jackets. Ball under pressure, running into the end zone, and then throws it away as he was hotly pursued by Rashad Jackson. And Ball just able to get it away. That Clemson defense coming up big. Nivea for Men starting lineups for them. Charles Bennett and Gaines Adams. Gaines Adams, a great rush end. Anthony Waters leading the way. The middle backer did not play last week. And a lot of pressure on the corners. Ty Hill and Sergio Gilliam. Gilliam at 6'3". Look for him to help out on Johnson, who is 6'4". First punt of the day for Ben Arndt. Gets it away. Chansi Stuckey has a couple of catches already. Tries his hand as a punt returner, and he is hit as soon as the ball arrives, and flags are down. The question is, did he have an opportunity to make a clean catch? It was a 44-yard punt by Arndt.
I don't know about this call either, Pam. You know, we had a fumble call reversed early in the football game. I thought Lewis timed that up pretty well. Number 4.
First down.
You know, Stuckey trying to secure the punt reception. But Lewis is going to get down on this kick, and I thought the ball arrived before Lewis made contact. That's a tough call. Clemson gets a break. But taking a look again, and I know Chan Gailey has to be upset. Jamal Lewis, number 4, timed it perfectly. And really, Pam, this is technically a muff. Chansi Stuckey's going to muff this ball before Lewis even makes contact. And it's not a reviewable call. That's why they didn't go upstairs. Again, a huge break for Clemson.
1st and 10 now for Clemson on the 42. They've already lost a fumble. Stuckey, as Whitehurst got stuck as he released the ball. 3 catches already for Chansi. That one's good for 13. And let's look at Chan Gailey, his reaction at the punt.
He's going to see the play on the Jumbotron, and he sees what we saw up in the booth. Now, we had the benefit of instant replay. It took a while before Coach Gailey had the benefit of replay on the Jumbotron, and that call was badly missed by this officiating crew.
Now, Section 4, the opportunity to catch a kick, you have to be given an unimpeded opportunity to catch the ball, and that is obviously what the officials ruled, but the ball was coming free before Jamal Lewis hit him. 1st down for Clemson. That pass complete to Aaron Kelly, and now they're going to, let's wait for the ruling as a flag comes down. Kelly looked like he had it initially.
Well, there's some confusion. The line judge is not making a definitive call on this play as well. And there's some confusion amongst the officiating crew as to whether this ball is a forward pass. And they're going to call it a lateral.
We have a backward pass recovered by Georgia Tech. The result of the play is a 1st down. We have a dead ball.
Well, that's now 2 lost fumbles since that was a lateral.
Well, in technical language, they've ruled this a backward pass. And boy, that is right in the gray area. Could have gone either way. And Whitehurst steps back right off the snap of the football. And as an offensive player, as a wideout, you've got to go ahead and try to make a play on this football. And he's going to get the ball out quick. And Aaron Kelly chooses not to try to cover the football. And I think we're going to have another review.
Yes, they are looking at it upstairs. The line of scrimmage was at 32, and that is exactly where Kelly was standing.
Boy, and it looked like the football was right on the 32. Yep. I mean, that was inches either way.
But Kelly, just to be safe as an offensive player, probably, as you said, pounce on the ball. You have nothing to lose. And the line judge never waved his hands to signal incomplete.
Yeah, you never do your own officiating. And, you know, this ball is on the cusp of being a forward pass as opposed to a backward pass. It was ruled a backward pass on the field. But if you're Aaron Kelly, don't do your own officiating there. Don't wait for a call. You cover that football. And you watch the defenders react. They're not going to officiate it themselves. They're going to get on the football and let the officiating crew decide.
Yeah, the line of scrimmage there actually was the 30, and Whitehurst standing about the 32 or 33, and that's exactly where the ball gets to Kelly. So too close for comfort. No, and again, the line judge did not signal incomplete. They're reviewing it upstairs. The 2nd review we've had already in this game.
Well, and it's interesting. You go back to the punt catch, and as you said, Pam, you've got to have an unimpeded ability to make a catch on a punt. And I don't think that Stuckey was impeded in any way. He muffed that punt before Lewis arrived. On this call, I don't think the crew upstairs is going to have enough evidence. And you got to have conclusive evidence, indisputable evidence to overturn a call. I don't think they're going to see that with the replays they've been offered. So, and what this all shakes out, I mean, this has been a pretty crazy few opening minutes to this football game. I think when the dust settles, it's going to be Georgia Tech's ball just outside their own 30-yard line.
As you look at number 80, Aaron Kelly, a very talented wide receiver. Let's take a listen.
After review, it was a forward pass ruled incomplete. Clemson will retain the ball. We will then enforce dead ball, personal foul, number 81 of the offense. It will be 2nd down.
So they get Bobby Williamson for a personal foul, but now they reverse it and say it was an incomplete pass. So a break for Kelly.
Well, and you look at this one more time. I think it's pretty tough to say that it's indisputable that this is a forward pass. I mean, you look at the backward movement there by Kelly. He made a nice 2-3 yard move back behind the line of scrimmage, and those are 2 pretty tough calls. Chan Gailey's going to have to deal with mentally, but you got to move on. I mean, eventually you got to put it behind you. We got zeros on the scoreboard and a lot of time left.
So we've had a couple of plays reviewed and overturned today, but Williamson, the tight end, called for a personal foul, so that pushes the Tigers all the way back to the 45, where it is 2nd and 25 in a crazy but still scoreless first quarter. Stuckey in motion for the Tigers. And Whitehurst nowhere to go but down, and he loses the football. Another Clemson fumble. Tech has it, no disputing this one. Eric Henderson just blew that play up.
Coming into the season, Eric Henderson, one of the top-rated defensive ends in the country. And coming off some great play a couple years ago. He was hampered last year by injuries. This year, an ankle has slowed him. But when he's hitting on all cylinders, he's a nightmare for a quarterback. And you get a look at his closing speed. Whitehurst didn't feel him from behind, gave up the football. And Pamela, we've seen the ball hit the turf 3 or 4 times early in this football game.
We've seen just about everything so far, including Clemson losing 2 fumbles. And now Georgia Tech gets it back from the Clemson 45. And there's Reggie Ball showing you his ball skills as he hangs on to it. Gets a first down. Reese Davis, it's been crazy so far. Let's go back to him.
Taco Bell studio update, Pam. USC and Washington State. Matt Leinart looking for Dwayne Jarrett, who leads the nation in touchdown catches, and now he has 13. But Washington State has the Pac-10's leading rusher, number 2 in the country, number 1 in your program. Jerome Harrison going in. They missed the extra point. It's 7-6.
Thank you, Reese. As USC falling to number 2 in the BCS this past week. We'll talk more about that. P.J. Daniels with a little bit of a stutter step, able to get about a yard. Anthony Waters making the stop for Clemson. Waters did not play last week as he sat out. That's a 1-game suspension for taking part in that brouhaha, I guess you could call it, against South Carolina that ended their regular seasons last year. Remember, neither team going to a bowl game. Waters, Tommy Bowden said they missed him as much emotionally on the field as they did as a very good middle linebacker.
Yeah, talk about downhill runners. He's a downhill middle linebacker. He'll lay the wood to you on the ISO play.
2nd and 10, Ball flicks it out, and it is complete. Waters making the tackle on James Johnson, the other Johnson, a red-shirt freshman.
James Johnson. He was forced out of bounds by number 30.
Waters with another stop.
Well, and we talk about backwards passes and forward passes. That is definitely a backwards pass. And once again, Waters running extremely well from sideline to sideline and getting the rest. The suspension a week ago, he looks like he's ready to play football this afternoon.
And now facing a 3rd and 8 for Georgia Tech in this scoreless game. Calvin Johnson is to his right. And Ball's going to pump fake and hang on to it and be short of the first down. About a yard or so short. Nick Watkins helping to bring Reggie down.
Well, you have Calvin Johnson on the outside. And he's usually going to draw double coverage. And that opens things up for your run game with P.J. Daniels. And it also creates some openings for Reggie Ball to tuck the football and pick up yards.
And Chan Gailey, even though it's only a 4th and 1, has decided to send in Travis Bell, who has been struggling after hitting his first 5 of the season. He's missed his last 5, and at one point last season, he hit 15 in a row. And this is a 42-yarder for Bell. It would be a season long. And there's a flag. And wouldn't you know it, with Bell's luck, that went through.
Prior to the snap. Delay game by the offense. 5 yards. Would be 4th down.
Well, delay of game, the kicking team, unforgivable. Early in a football game, you have 3 timeouts. You got to keep an eye on the 25-second clock. Chan Gailey not real excited on the sideline. And going back to the numbers, Pam, Bell hit 20 of his first 22 kicks in his career.
0 for his last 5. This one from 47. And make it 6 misses in a row. So Bell hit the first one, but Georgia Tech's 4th penalty of the game erased it, pushing back 5 yards. The kids missed 6 straight, and we're still scoreless.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, the power to surprise. And Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Boy, this is a gorgeous final Saturday in October. We join you from downtown Atlanta. This series has had some crazy finishes, and so far, we've had a crazy first quarter. A couple of fumbles lost by Clemson, a couple of reversals on plays, and 6 penalties between the 2 teams. And not much going there for Merriweather, stopped by Henderson and Oliver, the defensive ends. And again, coming into this game today, David, the only team in Division 1A who had not lost a fumble. Now Clemson's lost 2.
Yeah, keep in mind, the muff punt was ruled a penalty against Georgia Tech. And very easily, Clemson could be credited with 3 fumbles in the first quarter.
And instead, it is 2nd and 9. 3 receivers. Now Stuckey moving around. They had been to the right of Whitehurst. He goes left and completes that pass to Aaron Kelly as we head back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, the headline all week leading in to the Georgia-Florida game has been about Joe Tarashinsky, but the dog D's been the problem. Chris Leak of Florida up and over Yamo B in the end zone. That capped an 80-yard drive, and then Leak would find Tate Casey. Remember, this Florida team had 3 touchdowns combined against Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU. They're up by 14.
Well, Reese, that Florida offense struggling against the big boys in the SEC, but so far so good. Not a good position for Tarashinsky in his first start. Here it's 3rd and 3, and I think everybody was offsides for Tech on that play. It's been a sloppy first quarter.
Well, as a quarterback, when you're preparing over the course of a year, there are certain weeks where you watch defensive fronts and you see that they're active and they try to time the snap count. They try to get in the backfield. We mentioned this is not a real oversized defensive line for Georgia Tech, and I think Charlie Whitehurst, his offensive coordinator, Rob Spence.
Offside, number 18 in the defense. 5-yard penalty will result in the first down.
Well, they noticed that this Georgia Tech defense is pretty frisky up front, and Whitehurst has done a nice job with the snap count early.
3rd offside already against Georgia Tech, and that was the first carry for James Davis, number 1, a true freshman out of Atlanta who desperately wanted to play here, but he's been out with a broken wrist, a broken left wrist, and has it all taped up. But that carry, obviously a no-go with the offsides. And Davis that time with the carry. Doesn't get much as Jarris Wilkinson makes the stop.
And James Davis has split carries, as we mentioned earlier, with Merriweather over the course of the year. Davis is really the complete package, the size, the speed. I mean, he's going to be a super player at Clemson. And this offensive line gelled back in the North Carolina State game. And Davis in the first half, over 130 yards before he broke his wrist on his first carry in the second half.
Broke it against NC State on October 6th. That ball is flared out, and Stuckey having to do a lot of work, but he goes down. Dennis Davis with the stop. Let's head down to the field and Jimmy Dykes.
Well, Pam, I had a little football 101 from running back coach from Clemson, Burton Burns, before the game. Said, Coach, you haven't fumbled all year. What's the secret? He said, the secret is high and tight. Protect the front, protect the back, and keep it high and tight. He said, now listen, Dykes, if you jinx us and we fumble, I'm going to come find you after the ball game, so I might need some help escaping.
You might need help escaping the first quarter, much less after the ball game.
And Pam, they've lost 2 fumbles. I mentioned the muff. Really, they could have had 4 fumbles in the first quarter. You remember that backward pass was overruled and called a forward pass. Very easily could have had 4 fumbles here in the first quarter.
In trouble, Dykes. 3rd and 9. Whitehurst gets it off under pressure. Stuckey now with 5 catches. but he gets nowhere. Wilkinson and K. Michael Hall, the linebackers on this Georgia Tech, sort of a no-name defense. Not a lot of great star power, but they really work together well as a unit.
They do work well together as a unit. They've got a very experienced secondary behind them, allows them to do some things up front with their movement. If there is an all-star, it's really Eric Henderson, the defensive end. And we mentioned the problems he's had with injuries. He looks like he's running awfully well this afternoon.
Already has a sack for a 10-yard loss, the 21st of his great career. Cole chasing in for the punt, and it's not a pretty one as it skips out of bounds and will be marked eventually at the 35-yard line. That is an 18-yard punt. Not good in any league. Coming up at 7 Eastern, and we're looking forward to this. It is Michigan taking on Brett Bazinet and Northwestern. Michigan Northwestern also available in high definition on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. College football primetime presented by Polaroid at 7 Eastern right after us. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
And we've had more than one chance to see Brett Bazinet. I really believe that he is the highest impact player for his team across the country in the 2005 season, and that includes Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart.
Tall words, but if you have an opportunity to see him play, you should take it, as Demarius Bilbo, a 6'3 senior, makes that catch. As, boy, there was a great piece on Bazinet today, on game day, about his visualization, and he does like a 3D training for his eyes, and a very cerebral player. He's in grad school at Northwestern, but boy, we have seen him a lot, and he just carves up defenses.
Well, he has been carving up defenses like a Thanksgiving turkey, and you go back to the opener in the Big Ten, their game against Penn State. If his defense converts the 4th and 15 situation, they're 4-0 tonight against Michigan.
Should be a great one. Don't miss it following us. Just stay with ESPN as Calvin Johnson, his first big catch of the day. First down. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, USC and Wazoo, Trojans on the march. Reggie Bush is going to fumble the football, but you know you're good when your offensive linemen score too. Winston Justice recovering it. The proverbial lineman's dream. 14-6 the score there. And Oklahoma finished off Nebraska in Lincoln, 31-24. Adrian Peterson back, 142 yards, a couple of touchdowns.
Well, you remember back when that Oklahoma-Nebraska game was a bit bigger than it is these days.
Yeah, in fact, I was surprised to even hear they were playing this week. Heard about it a couple days ago because there was no hype. As Tashard Choice, sophomore from Riverdale, Georgia, dances around and only picks up a yard. Watkins again in on the stop. Clemson coming in 4-3 on the season, and boy, did they start their season off with a bang. Close wins over Texas A&M and Maryland, and then you might recall a 3-overtime loss to Miami. They lose in overtime to Boston College, lose to Wake Forest. It has just been a crazy up and down season for the Tigers. And they are trying to bounce back against Georgia Tech. It's been a great rivalry, great finishes the last few years. Ball holding on to it, and he is totally strung out. The Clemson defense, Ty Hill and Tremaine Billy, giving him absolutely nowhere to go.
Well, you could feel the intensity in this game early. I think some of the nerves, some of the mistakes, footballs on the ground. Both these teams are aware of how tight these games have been over the last 8 or 9 years. And Ball, victim to the pursuit of the Tigers defense. As we mentioned at the top, 8 of the last 9 games between these two teams decided by 5 points or less. And I know that the memory of the game late last year, Georgia Tech stealing that win, has to be fresh in the minds of both of these teams.
In fact, it started a 4-game losing streak for Clemson with the loss to Tech. Tech 0 for 2 in this game on 3rd down conversions. Ball flares it out, and there will be no first down that time. C.J. Gaddis with the stop on Choice coming out of the backfield. In fact, they lost 4 yards.
Clemson is doing a nice job early of taking Calvin Johnson away down the football field. And what the defenses normally try to do against this premier performer at the wide receiver position is they'll get a press defender up on the line of scrimmage, use physical type play to not allow him downfield, and then a safety over the top. Ball has been forced to go other places with the football.
Calvin Johnson with just 1 catch today. Ben Arndt's 2nd punt, and that's a good one. He has been very good. In fact, Tech. That's the 15th time this season he has knocked one inside the 20. 39-yard punt marked out at the 6-yard line. Good job by Arndt. Now some big plays. Reggie Merriweather, that's the first lost fumble of the season for Clemson. And that was called an interference play, interfering with the ball. That was reversed, that play. And then a Whitehurst fumble. So all sorts of stuff going on here, and it's all in the first quarter. 29 seconds left to go in quarter number 1. Clemson backed up on the 6, and more movement along the line.
Mark, get a snap. Ball start. Number 81 in the offense. Position to the goal. First down.
First false start called against Clemson, and now they are backed up half the distance to the goal line to the 3. And the Georgia Tech band is right behind them in the end zone. Clemson fans are much further up in the upper deck. A lot of people coming from Clemson. It's only a 2-hour drive to Atlanta.
The Yellow Jackets defense doing some cheerleading of their own, trying to create some noise and problems for Charlie Whitehurst down in his own end zone.
Thomas Hunter, the tight end in motion, will block on that side for Reggie Merriweather. And he gets a nifty gain. Stopped by Dawan Landry out near the 12-yard line, so he picked up 9 as the first quarter winds down.
And you remember a year ago, Merriweather ripped off a 62-yard touchdown in this game. He's not only a physical runner in between the tackles, but he's capable of hitting a long ball on you as well.
He's coming off a 100-yard game on the ground against Temple last week. We had everything in this first quarter except scoring. A couple of lost fumbles for Clemson, a couple of plays overturned by the replay officials. Much more coming up from Georgia Tech. Second quarter about to get underway. Clemson and Georgia Tech are scoreless in the first quarter. Clemson turned the ball over twice. First 2 lost fumbles of the season, and now a 2nd and 4 on the 12 for the Tigers. They lost in heartbreaking fashion to Tech last year, and there is a first down run. Merriweather getting it done again. Dawan Landry making the stop, but Clemson doing a good job after they were backed up all the way to the 3.
Yeah, when Clemson needs to run the ball, they like to run left. You've got 3 very talented performers on the left side. Barry Richardson, Roman Fry, and of course Dustin Fry, the talented center, and they catch Georgia Tech in a blitz. And a nice play call for the blitz off the left side. Tigers need to change.
Merriweather. So far, so good on this drive for him, and they go right back to number 37 as he is buckled under right at the 25 by Jarris Wilkinson, senior from Oakland, California. Came all the way across country to go to school at Georgia Tech. His dad is a firefighter here in Atlanta and said he just wanted to play his football here. Cal offered him, another pretty good academic school out in Berkeley, but said he just wanted to play here at Tech.
Yeah, we talked to John Tenuta, the highly touted defensive coordinator for the Yellow Jackets, and he has high praise for Wilkinson. He thinks Wilkinson is the best all-around linebacker that he's ever coached, and that's saying a lot. Tenuta, the history at Ohio State, North Carolina with those great defenses.
And this play does not get off the ground. First quarter, we had 7 combined penalties in the first quarter. That, however, is a timeout called by Clemson. They will have the ball 2nd and 7 from the 25 when we return to Atlanta. Clemson calling the timeout here in the second quarter. John Tenuta, the 4th-year defensive coordinator, been here with Chan Gailey the whole time, doing a fine job with this offense as another offsides play is upcoming, but Reggie Merriweather busting free all the way up to the 41. Chris Reese makes the stop, but Tenuta's defense has been kind of overzealous. That was a 17-yard gain as we check the flag.
And Philip Wheeler, the outside linebacker, trying to time the snap.
Number 96 in the defense. Downs decline. The result of the play is a first down.
There's Anawai. Big Joe Anawai, and there were some question marks as to whether Anawai was going to go. You know, getting back to John Tenuta, his counterpart, Rob Spence, the offensive coordinator for Clemson. When we asked him about the Georgia Tech defense, he said, hey, this is one of the best coordinated defenses that I've ever gone up against. And pretty high praise for John Tenuta.
Tenuta, aspirations of being a head coach himself someday. A missed tackle, and Reggie Merriweather. Another flag is on the field, but Merriweather goes all the way down to the 29-yard line. 30 more yards for Merriweather pending the penalty.
Remember, this is the number 11 defense in the country against the run.
Giving up on average 96 yards a game, and that will negate Merriweather's huge carry with the holding call.
Yeah, holding call, but Merriweather is making some nice.
Run, holding. Number 89 in the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Merriweather in this running game are making some nice yardage off the left side of this big offensive line. And it doesn't bode well for Georgia Tech, the type of work that the Tigers are getting from Richardson at left tackle and Roman Fry, the left guard.
Clemson and Georgia Tech, 8 of the last 9 meetings have been very close, decided by 5 points or less. In fact, last year, Georgia Tech 3 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes to win that game 28-24. Chan Gailey's club taking on Clemson today, and a turnover and penalty-filled game so far. That's why we were scoreless. As Browning, who is spelling Merriweather at the running back position, gets that carry and picks up about 6. And Kyle a little bit quicker than Merriweather in this running back by committee.
Yeah, 2 tight ends. And Rob Spence, the offensive coordinator, is recognizing early in this game that they have the ability to line up and pound the ball at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech likes to go with an 8-man front. They don't have a lot of size along that 8-man front, especially with their front 4. And the Tigers are sensing a weakness.
And the Tigers picked up that first down with Browning's run, with a 54-yard touchdown run last year against Tech, and he gets the football right back. Kyle Browning, senior from Union, South Carolina, picks up 6 more.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. And Tommy Bowden is known for employing that 4 wide receiver offense until they started using tight ends and fullbacks this year. But make no mistake about it, Tommy Bowden will keep the ball on the ground against you as long as you can't stop it. And he gets that from his daddy. You know, his dad's known for pitching it around the park a bit, but when you sense a weakness and you can pick up ground yards, they're going to stay on the ground.
2nd and 5 after Browning picked up 5 on that last carry. Still looking for a first score of the ball game. And Whitehurst rolling to his left and on the run hits his tight end, Bobby Williamson. Williamson, 9 yards and another Tiger first down. Whitehurst showing a little bit of that footwork on that completion.
Well, now Clemson utilizes layered routes with their play action. A year ago, it was 4 wide receivers. They spread the field, but now you have layered routes. A guy in a short zone, Williamson in an intermediate zone, and then a wide receiver running deep. Rob Spence had receivers at all 3 levels, and Spence got great decision-making from Whitehurst on that play.
Spence in his first year as the whistle blows again, and Clemson takes it 2nd time out. So Rob Spence trying to orchestrate the first score of the game. Clemson driving. They've already gone 65 yards on this drive, as we'll get you back to Atlanta.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Saturn and Aflac. Ask about it at work.
We are back in Atlanta. 1st and 10 from the 29 for Clemson. This drive started at the 6, but remember they were backed up all the way to the 3 on a false start penalty, swapped quarters and ends of the field as Browning gets another carry and gets it down a couple of yards short of the first down, 8 more yards. Take a look now at our Napa game track. Clemson with his first 2 lost fumbles of the season. as Charlie Whitehurst goes down with the sack from Eric Henderson. And the total yards clearly in favor of Clemson. This drive has been good. 72 of those yards coming here on this drive, and it's been Merriweather and Browning, the 1-2 punch at tailback, doing a lot of the work. And right back to Browning, and this time he is stacked up for no gain. Jarris Wilkinson again right in the thick of things. We visited with Jarris Wilkinson yesterday. He said he came here as a chemical engineering major. He said he was there twice, once in his recruiting visit, and then when he went back to change his major. It was very difficult, and he's a very intelligent guy, very good student, but that's a tough major, David.
I remember when I was on campus, I shied away from that engineering building.
Couldn't even spell engineering.
Decided to steer clear.
The crowd getting into it now on 3rd and 3. Whitehurst, another flag down as he rolls and throws towards his tight end. Thomas Hunter with the touchdown for the Tigers. But again, it's a penalty flag.
We have an illegal formation. 4 men in the backfield, only 10 men on the field. 5 yards, previous spot, repeat 3rd down.
Wow.
Wipe out the touchdown with the illegal formation.
And I think they're ruling 10 men on the field. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 10 players on the field. And it's a shame for Clemson because they got great action in the backfield by Whitehurst. You can't drop a football in any better to a tight end. That was a pretty throw. But you got to be lined up correctly. You got to have 11 men on the field. Big mistake for the Tigers.
It would have been Hunter's first touchdown catch of the season. Instead, 3rd and 8 from the 27. Whitehurst under pressure, dumps it off to Aaron Kelly, and he goes down immediately. And the Georgia Tech defense coming up with a big play on Kelly. The talented freshman is yet to really get going as a Tech player is down on the field. There's no gain on that play, so it will be a 4th and 8. Clemson has a very good field goal kicker in Jad Dean. Dean, in fact, leading the nation in field goals per game, 2.43. He's sort of the anti-Travis Bell, who's struggling now for Georgia Tech. Dean, 17 for 20 on the season, as K. Michael Hall, junior linebacker from Houston, is being attended to on the field for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, a lot of penalties, turnovers here in the first half. I think both defenses are rallying to the football exceptionally well. And early in this game, with zeros on the scoreboard, Clemson has established something with their run game up front. And the 10 men on the field penalty really hurt them. Look at K. Michael Hall. Looks like he's going to be able to walk off under his own powers here.
Maybe just the wind knocked out of him as he is able to get up. Jad Dean struggled though in the spring. In fact, was in danger of perhaps losing the job of place kicker. Saw a sports psychologist who he said really helped him out. And this is a 43-yard attempt for him. His career long is 48, had a 47-yarder earlier this season. From 43, Dean not even close. So Jad Dean, one of the best field goal kickers going, misses that 43-yard field goal, and we remain scoreless.
Going into that kick, 29 for 35 in his career a year ago, 12 for 15. Pam, that game against A&M this year, Jad Dean 6 for 6, including the winner with 2 seconds on the clock. He didn't hit that one very well.
So we remain scoreless. Let's check out today's Aflac trivia question. This season is the 15th anniversary of Georgia Tech's 1990 National Championship. We want to know who was the only NFL first-round pick off of that title team. David Norrie will ponder. P.J. Daniels meets Anthony Waters and company and goes down after a 3-yard gain.
I mean, they're not coming up with trivia down the truck. They're coming up with brain twisters.
These are good ones. These would be good for those millionaire quiz shows. Of course, they shared the national championship in 1990 with Washington. Bobby Ross was the coach here at Georgia Tech. 15 years ago, Tech actually has 4 national championships in its great history. 2nd and 6 now for the Ramblin' Wreck. Somebody trying to score the first points of this game. We've had missed field goals on both ends. Daniels with a huge hole, and he takes advantage. That's a Georgia Tech first down. Lionel Richardson with the stop, but give a big gain of 11 to Daniels.
Well, the week off really helped P.J. Daniels. And 2 years ago, he led the ACC in rushing. He's a former walk-on. And a year ago, injuries got to him. And 3 consecutive 100-yard games to start this year. Got dinged up in this week off. The Hurricane Wilma miss against Miami has really helped him out.
They will play at Miami, rescheduled now for November the 19th. Calvin Johnson with only his 2nd catch of the day, as Clemson's done a good job of neutralizing him. That's only a 4-yard gain. So Calvin Johnson coming in again as the leading receiver in the ACC. 32 catches on the season, and he's a little slow getting up. Had a chance to visit with him yesterday. Very talented as Nick Watkins, the linebacker. Looks like he is down now for Clemson.
Yeah, big part of the game plan against Calvin Johnson. Get physical with it. I mean, you cannot play with finesse against number 21. As we said at the top, clearly one of a handful of players that are really premier offensive stars in college football.
And how about us asking Chan Gailey yesterday, as you see what he did against Clemson, 3 touchdowns, including the game winner very late. Chan Gailey's been in the NFL, has been around great talent, and we said, how would you rate him among the wide receivers? And his response was, he's right up there.
He said he was the best he's ever coached and the best prospect. And, you know, I think he's got a ways to go before he's a Michael Irvin. Remember, Chan Gailey coached Michael Irvin.
Remember, Calvin Johnson's a true sophomore. Let's go down to Jimmy Dykes.
Well, Pam, you're exactly right. Chan Gailey did tell us yesterday, after spending 14 years in the NFL, he said that Calvin Johnson, though, just natural talent, pure talent, is better than Michael Irvin, Yancey Thigpen, the 3 Amigos who he coached in the Denver Broncos. But he said he's still learning all the subtleties of that wide receiver position. But as far as just natural God-given ability, he said this guy's got it all.
Well, and he does have the speed. He's the fastest player on this team, and rare to have a kid going 230 with the hands, the skills, and then this just blinding speed to go along with it. He's a factor for every defensive coordinator's game plan that he goes up against.
Timed around a 4.340 in the 11th grade. Now he's grown up a little bit as P.J. Daniels picks up 3. And how good was Calvin Johnson against NC State? Take a look.
Well, Calvin Johnson, that combination of his size to go up and make plays on the football, and catches don't get any prettier than that in the end zone. Catching the ball inside, the dig route, and then late in the game, ball delivered behind him, almost makes a circus catch to win that football game. And he's really one of the funnest offensive stars to watch in college football. Great game after game.
They did lose to NC State 17-14 in a game on ESPN. Daniels gets the pitch from Ball and looks to be a couple of inches short of the first down marker. That was a 3rd and 3. P.J. Daniels, as David mentioned, was a walk-on here. Another interesting guy. Wants to be an actor and an orthodontist when he stops playing football. That is an unusual combination, but P.J.'s an unusual guy.
Good to have options. And speaking of the option, Reggie Ball gives you a lot of potential with his feet, not just in the passing game. Nice job of attacking the defensive end, and it did look on the replay, Pam, like he had enough yardage to pick up the first down.
And indeed he did. The ball maybe marked a little bit further back from the yellow line, which we had superimposed on the screen, but it makes no matter. It's still a first down for Chan Gailey and company. Chan Gailey, by the way, does have an offensive coordinator, Patrick Nix, who was a starter at Auburn, but Gailey calls the plays, the offensive plays.
Always has, even when he was a head coach at Dallas.
It's the first 3rd down conversion today for Tech. Ball rolling out. He's looking for Johnson, who is double covered, and it's intercepted. Michael Hemlin comes in and picks it off for the Tigers and takes it all the way back to the 46-yard line. So the first time Tech throws downfield to Johnson, Clemson picks it off.
And Johnson was covered.
First career interception for Hemlin, who's a redshirt freshman.
Well, and that's the tough part of coaching Reggie Ball, because you can't just ignore Calvin Johnson, even when he's covered. He has the ability to go up and get the football, but watch Hemlin. Hemlin's going to have 3 or 4 yards more depth than Calvin Johnson does down the football field. Reggie Ball wants to turn this into a jump ball, and Hemlin just goes up and gets it.
And this, quarterbacks, that's Waters going after Reggie Ball. Quarterback's kind of fair game there once the return is in place. It's a 31-yard return on the first pick of Hemlin's career. And Merriweather taking it up about a yard short of the first down as we take you back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, Pete Carroll says he doesn't really understand the BCS, doesn't care to. They've fallen to number 2 in the BCS rankings, but against Washington State, Matt Leinart and Steve Smith lost his helmet but did not lose the football. That made it 21-6. Still in the first quarter, there's the Heisman winner again. There's Smith again, 28-6, early second quarter.
All right, Reese, I don't think anybody really understands the BCS.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah. They're doing a very good job of confusing us all as Merriweather picks up another first down for the Tigers.
Well, the BCS is more than confusing. I think it's not a very good scheme, and it'd be a shame again to have 3 undefeated teams: Virginia Tech, Texas, USC. Teams like Georgia, Alabama, and UCLA still in it. UCLA obviously can't be undefeated with USC at the end of the season.
UCLA taking on Stanford today. And what a game next week. Miami coming from behind down at the half to beat North Carolina, and Virginia Tech looked great beating Boston College on Thursday. BC not a bad team at all. Tech and Miami next week in Blacksburg.
And that's going to be a great matchup. And when you talk BCS, how can it be deemed a good system if you do have 3 undefeateds? And last year you had 4 with Utah, but a team like Auburn a year ago, or maybe a Virginia Tech this year, you get a perfect season and you got people voting you number 2 or number 3 in the country.
Omar Billy being helped off the field, the senior from Orlando. And of course, the playoff system, which is in effect in every other division except one AA. Division 3.
Every other sport.
Every other sport, right.
Every other
Division
sport, pro or college, as a playoff.
Division 3 this year expanding to 32 teams who get in the postseason, which is, I think, excessive. But how can the people in 1A say that 4 teams is too much? And the academic excuse is just baloney, as Merriweather gets about 3.
Well, and that academic excuse became moot, as you said, Pam, this offseason when they went ahead and added a 12th game. Yeah. So, it's very clearly the 6 major conferences. They want to keep control. They want to control the big dance at the end of the season. But, you talk to the fans out there. College football fans want a playoff, and it would become a whole lot more entertaining if you had teams 14, 16, 18 teams down the stretch into November that were all playing for a chance to get into that playoff.
Very doable, and I think the ratings would be through the roof, almost Super Bowl-like. Stuckey gets that for the first down, dragged down by Chris Reese, the strong safety, but 6 catches already for Chansi Stuckey.
Whitehurst, he had such a super sophomore season. He threw for 3,500 yards, had great touchdown numbers, and he fell off as a junior. He only hit 50% of his balls, and he was left naked. That 4 wide receiver offense, and it's been just a world of difference this year. Tight ends and fullbacks involved, and back up to 67%.
How about 85% today as Merriweather gets the carry? Whitehurst 11 for 13 96 yards through the air. For more on the improved Mr. Whitehurst, let's go down to Jimmy Dykes.
Well, Rob Spence, the offensive coordinator, says one area that Whitehurst still needs to improve is his ability to make someone miss in the pocket. He compared him with guys like Peyton Manning and Dan Marino, guys that weren't great in their straight-ahead speed, but you could just buy an extra half a second in the pocket with feeling the rush and moving side to side. And Dave Knorr, you know how important that is as a former quarterback.
Well, the best there ever was at that was Joe Montana. His ability, he was almost like a ballerina to move and get reset and then get the ball off in the pocket.
Whitehurst rolling out of the pocket and finding his tight end Thomas Hunter. And Hunter shoved out of bounds after only about a 2-yard gain.
And I think that is one of the, you talk about a quarterback's feet, Pam, but you also talk about a quarterback after he gets back in his 3-step drop or 5-step drop, being able to make that first rusher that appears miss, as Jimmy Dykes talked about. And there's some guys at the NFL level right now. Donovan McNabb is super at doing that in the pocket. Dante Culpepper. Jimmy mentioned Peyton Manning, but those are the quarterbacks that really set themselves apart. And that is really the question mark or biggest area that Whitehurst needs to improve.
Trying to become a second-generation NFL quarterback here on 3rd and 5. Merriweather can't hang on. And that time he tries to cover up. That was definitely a forward pass, but we had a pass ruled a disputed lateral earlier in this game.
Both defenses are doing a great job in this game of making the offenses put drives together. You hear defensive coordinators talk about we want to make them snap the ball as many times as we can. And both defenses are making these offenses put together controlled drives, and they've been able to eventually stop these offenses and force field goal tries.
And Jad Dean will do just that. He missed from 43 in his first attempt, high snap. And this 36-yarder is good. And the scoreless tie is over. Jad Dean knocking home the field goal. Clemson draws first blood at 3-0. Jad Dean ending the scoreless drought with a 36-yard field goal. 8-play, 35-yard drive for the Tigers. Clemson is more than double Georgia Tech in plays, time, and total yardage, and all they have to show for it is that young man's field goal, his 18th of the season. Georgia Tech going to get the football back. That is fielded by Chris Woods, and he is knocked down right at the 15-yard line. Good kick coverage there by Clemson. Let's go back to our Aflac trivia question. This is the 15th anniversary of Georgia Tech's last national championship. We want to know who's the only NFL pick taken in the first round from that team. Mr. Norrie?
That's a brain teaser right there. I'm not even going to venture a guess, although I will make an editorial comment. I thought that team deserved Marco Coleman. Nice career with the Dolphins.
And he was not a senior on that 90 championship team, obviously, taken by the Dolphins in 92.
I don't think that team deserved to share the national title with anybody. I thought they were the outright national champion that year.
Tashard Choice with the carry. Of course, they did share it with the University of Washington Huskies. Huskies still struggling, trying to find their way back in the upper echelon of college football. Georgia Tech here trying to get on the board before this first half ends. It was a crazy first quarter. And absolutely no scoring, though, until last time Clemson had the ball and Jad Dean hit a field goal. 2nd and 5. Choice again. And he's going to be stopped a couple of yards short of the first down by Jamal Fudge. Coming in from his safety position. Good look at Choice, sophomore from Riverdale, Georgia. And they say the coaches that like P.J. Daniels, Choice is a sort of a character, kind of lights up a room when he comes in. Fudge. Fudge getting ready again at free safety. Now 3rd and 1. Tech just 1 for 4 on 3rd down. Oh, and a big pop. Jamal Fudge coming up and meeting Choice. Wow, what a hit. And that's a 4th down.
Well, safeties in this day and age have to be able to bring the leather. And Jamal Fudge brought it on that play. I mean, he is a guy who can square up on you, and he can make you feel it from that safety position.
His mom naming him after Jamal Wilkes, so it worked athletically for her. Now Big Boy, who made a big boy hit to keep Tech from getting a 1st down. 2 minutes to go here in the 2nd quarter as we check back in with Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, as always, Mark May and Lou Holtz alongside for the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. Show you how the Hurricanes got it together in the 2nd half against North Carolina. Also, the cocktail party maybe not going as scripted for the undefeated Dogs in a complete day in the shakeout in the Big Ten so far.
Oklahoma, Nebraska. I'm going to tell you about one of the best backs in the nation. Having a big day. He's back.
I want to say this. When you see Leinart and you see Reggie Bush, you're going to want to give more than one Heisman Trophy this year.
I can't decide whose Heisman bandwagon you're on right now.
I am on.
How are your ankles? Are they broken?
I am on Marcus Vick today.
All right, guys, we look forward to that coming up. Here, we'll see if Clemson can score again. As stopping the clock is Kyle Browning stepping out of bounds and was sharing with Georgia Tech, not Washington, but it was Colorado who scored. Washington won and shared another title, but it wasn't in that year. So stand corrected on that. It was the Buffs that year, but as you mentioned, it should have just been Tech.
I really thought it should have been Tech, and I thought they were clearly the best team in college football. And, you know, it goes back to that playoff and BCS discussion. You never really know until you decide it on the field of play.
Which is why they should decide it on the field of play, and there'd be no disputing. And we remember all the champions as Browning gets a carry, and Philip Wheeler, who leads Georgia Tech with 4 interceptions from his linebacker spot, makes a tackle. Clemson taking on Georgia Tech. These two teams have played some close games over the last few seasons. Clemson, though, has won 3 of the last 4, 8 of the last 9 games decided by 5 points or less, as you see. And right now we have a 3-point ball game. And the Georgia Tech fans exhorting their defense to hang in there as we are getting close to a minute left in the first half. 3rd and 1 for the Tigers. Go back to Reggie Merriweather, the more physical of their backs, and he does pick up the 1st down. Jarris Wilkinson making the stop.
And we're just seeing multiple formations from Tommy Bowden's offensive coordinator, Rob Spence. And you look, they're going 2 tights, and they're going to snap the ball here. Go ahead and run it, guys. They're going to snap the ball before these linemen get down to their 3-point stance. And that catches Georgia Tech off guard. You know, the Yellow Jackets waiting for the linemen to get down to 3-point stance on the run. Tigers sprung it on.
Clemson just has 1 timeout left, and that's the 2nd time Henderson has caused Charlie Whitehurst to fumble the ball today, and the 3rd time Clemson has lost a fumble. And Georgia Tech has 50 seconds and 3 timeouts left to score.
Eric Henderson is going to be a big-time performer in the NFL. And watch him beat Richardson with a speed rush. And Richardson is one of the real talented offensive tackles in college football. Never had a chance against Henderson. I mean, that is some kind of closing speed by a defensive end. What a play.
Had his ankle rolled up against North Carolina, so Henderson's still not 100%, but he has 2 sacks today, 22 for his great career, as Georgia Tech gets the ball back.
Practice snap. False start. Number 62 on the offense. 5 yards. Still 1st down.
False start pushes them back 5 more yards. Let's go back to the fumble.
Yeah, and you look at it again, and I have to give my apologies to Mr. Richardson. That was Tim DeBeer that was in the football game, big number 73. And you come off the bench a little cold against Henderson, it'll make you feel it.
Boy, that was a classic strip tackle by Henderson to get the ball away from Whitehurst. Ball looking for Johnson. And that one is out of reach of everybody. Michael Hemlin, who has an interception today, again step for step. And you notice Hemlin has been on Johnson a lot. Hemlin at 6'3" is one of the taller defensive backs available.
Well, Hamlin's doubling over the top. And Calvin Johnson is going to get doubled on every play by every defense he sees this year. And the tough thing for Georgia Tech is they could line him up at flanker every play and then go away from him, use him as a decoy, play 10 offensive players against 9. But, you know, that's tough to take one of the best players in college football and just take them out of the football game.
2nd and 15. Ball being pursued, and he throws that one away as Gaines Adams, the rush end, was all over him. And that kills the clock with 35 seconds left.
And Reggie Ball has learned to make solid decisions this year. The mental aspect of his game has improved, and he's not a guy who will hesitate to throw the ball away to avoid a big loss. But, you know, Pam, you get back to Calvin Johnson, it goes against everything that you normally teach a quarterback to put the ball up in the air to him when he's covered. I mean, we see it all the time with Randy Moss in the NFL, but, you know, if you don't throw the ball to Calvin Johnson when he's double covered, you can't get him the ball in a football game.
That's one thing that Chan Gailey said he would like to even try to do more, even going into double coverage. Ball looking the other way, and that's a first down as he gets his other tall receiver, Demarius Bilbo, at 6'3", came to Georgia Tech as a quarterback. When Reggie Ball came to campus, he became a wide receiver.
Yeah, that's an excellent throw by Reggie Ball, and he looked like $1 million in the pocket. And this is the same Reggie Ball 2 years ago that upset Auburn here in Atlanta. They had Florida State on the ropes the following week down at Florida State. And Bilbo and the rest of the wide receivers are going to have a lot of opportunities because of the double coverage that Calvin Johnson draws.
Timeout taken by Georgia Tech. 29 seconds left to go. They have it 1st and 10 from the 23. .29 seconds left to go in the second quarter. Travis Bell warming up. He has missed 6 straight field goals, missed one earlier today as Tech was pushed back 5 yards, but they're thinking 6 points. 1st and 10 from the 23. Ball, and short hops that one, his intended receiver, Mike Cox, a fullback, who has 7 catches on the season coming in.
Well, Reggie Ball has 2 timeouts. He's working with 25 seconds. 2nd and 10 coming up. And as a quarterback, you want to be cognizant that you've got the 3 points in your back pocket, but also you have enough time here to work the clock and get a couple opportunities to score 6.
2nd and 10 now. 25 seconds left, as David mentioned. 2 timeouts remaining. Ball underneath again. And that one is completed to P.J. Daniels out of the backfield. And Tech has to call a timeout. 3rd and 9 coming up. With 18 seconds left. Sunday night, Teddy Bruschi hopes to return to the Patriots. He's been practicing all week. Patriots hosting Willis McGahee and the Bills in a battle for first place in the AFC East. Coverage begins with NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern. Bills and Pats also available in high def on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now, there's no doubt that Bruschi will play. He might even start in that game. Remarkable, because he had a stroke back in February, and he's been medically cleared to play, but it still makes you a little nervous that he's still out there.
Yeah, you worry about that, and of course you worry about any player coming back from a serious problem like a stroke. But you know, Teddy Bruschi, you got to have some confidence that he's sought out the right medical advice, and that'll be a big story watching him come back. Can you imagine him starting in that football game?
Wow.
And I remember watching him play back at the college level out on the West Coast for Dick Tomey's Arizona teams, Desert Storm defense. And he was a nightmare for offenses. He was a defensive end at the time.
Wow.
But, you know, he's a linebacker in that Patriots scheme for Bill Belichick.
Right now, Tommy Bowden is pondering. Has 18 seconds left. I think if you're a coach, you probably do talk to yourself quite a bit. 3rd and 9 now from the 22 with 18 seconds left. Tech does have 1 timeout remaining. Sends everybody out in the pattern. And Ball somehow is able to keep his feet, stretching for the first down, and he'll get it with 9 seconds left. Boy, Ball somehow was able to keep his balance. They still do have 1 timeout remaining.
That's called escaping out the back door. Reggie Ball, things were closing down on him in the pocket, and he's going to keep that timeout. 9 seconds to go. You still have a timeout. You can get another play off here, but watch this. Right out the back door. Great feet. And Sergio Gilliam, number 15, has a great shot at him, but just fans on the tackle. And Gilliam stayed at home, but Ball used his athleticism to make Gilliam miss and get the ball out of bounds.
Clemson, that's their 3rd and final timeout of this half.
So Tech still with 1 timeout left. On that play, it was a 3rd and 9, needed 9. Ball got 10 with that great stretch at the end.
Yeah, and that's really tough to use your timeout there with 9 seconds because it eliminates some of the things you can do on this next play. And if you get back, Reggie Ball got the ball out of bounds. If you get back in the huddle, if you're decisive about your play calling and you trust Ball with his decision making, you have the ability to do some things. A screen pass, you can even spring him a draw play because you've got that timeout and you can stop the clock even if a ball carrier or receiver's tackled in bounds. Now you got to be real careful, Pam.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. I was going to say, you have Calvin Johnson, though, at 6'4", and 2 of his 3 touchdowns in last year's come from behind win over Clemson were the jump ball variety, where he got up and he's 6'3", 6'4" anyway, listed at 6'4", and has a 43-inch vertical. So that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a big target.
And believe me, the secondary for Clemson is going to be bracing for a fade route or a jump ball situation in the end zone. Not a lot of people in this stadium, Pam, are wondering about who the ball's going to in this situation. Reggie Ball has to be careful that he doesn't take a sack, and he also wants to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over. You got to remember, you have 3 points in your back pocket. Take a shot, be safe with the football. You don't connect in the end zone, you march your place kicker onto the field.
So here we go, 1st and 10 from the 11. Clock running down inside 10 seconds. Ball into the end zone and throws it away as he was looking for Bilbo, but he was well covered by Jamal Fudge. So now 3 seconds left, and here comes Travis Bell. Yes, he's trotting onto the field.
And you watched Reggie Ball on that play. Reggie Ball had some more time to move around behind the line of scrimmage. But he had to get the ball up quickly there. Time was running out. Only 3 seconds on the clock.
Ineligible receiver, number 8, was covered by number 88. 5 yards, still first down.
Well, and after an incomplete pass, the clock doesn't wind, so Tech with enough time to get on the field. But that was a nice work by Reggie Ball to know that the clock was ticking down and to let that ball go into the stands because he had some more time. He could have bought some more time behind the line of scrimmage.
Travis Bell has missed his last 6 field goals. This one from 33, and he hits it. The drought is over for Travis Bell. Knocks it home on the last play of the 2nd quarter, and Georgia Tech heads into the locker room in a 3-all tie with Clemson. So Bell, who was a very good field goal kicker last season, maybe that'll snap him out of it as we go down to Jimmy Dykes.
Coach, early in the 2nd quarter, an illegal formation cost you a touchdown. What happened on that play?
10 men on field, and other tight end to get on field.
Charlie Whitehurst, 2 fumbles. When he came off for the second one, you really got in his ear. What'd you tell him?
Yeah, that's his fault. That's not a good job for a senior. You know, he's carrying the ball too loose. He ought to know better than that.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Of course, Jimmy, Eric Henderson was a big reason why he was not able to hold on to that football with a couple of strips, couple of sacks for Henderson. How about Bell? The drought is over. We're tied at 3. Pontiac Performance halftime report. Let's go to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, these 2 teams.
Second half about to get underway. Clemson and Georgia Tech are tied up at 3 apiece. It was a crazy first half with we had lost fumbles, we had a ton of penalties, double-digit penalties between the 2 teams. Pam, we're joined with by David Norrie, so just a couple of field goals, but really we saw some good defensive performances.
Yeah, it was an ugly first half, but I think the defense has had a lot to do with it. On the other side of the coin, I think this game has all the makings of a finish like the one we had last year between these two teams.
That's right. That is when Tech scored 3 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes to come from behind to win. Let's take a look at the Napa game track. Eric Henderson has been great.
Yeah, and Henderson hampered by injuries throughout this year. He's healthy coming off the bye week, and he has been a force. And the Clemson Tigers are going to better find out where he's lined up, and they better get him blocked, or he'll continue to be a major factor in this football game.
He has a couple of sacks, 22 now in his great career, 3 on the season, and a couple of those forced fumbles. And remember, Clemson coming into this game had not lost a fumble all year. They've lost all 3 of their fumbles in the first half. The last Division 1A team to lose a fumble, and they had a triple in the first half. Jad Dean has Clemson's points. Travis Bell breaking an 0 for 6 string in field goals to score for Tech to end the first half. And the second half is underway. Chris Woods unable to hang on to it, but it is a touchback. Let's go now to our Ruby Tuesday first half statistics. And you see Clemson with a lot of the yards, but the sloppiness of which we spoke in the last 2 frames.
Yeah, and remember Clemson, you know, that the muff on the punt wasn't called. The backwards pass was overturned and ruled a forwards pass. Very easily 5 fumble turnovers for Clemson in the first half. And you look at Charlie Whitehurst's numbers for Clemson, pretty good numbers, 13 for 16. On the other side of the coin, Reggie Ball 7 for 14 in the first half.
With an interception. Ball to Bilbo, and Bilbo is wrapped up nicely by Ty Hill. Gets about a yard. Let's go down to Jimmy Dykes on the field. Jim.
Well, Pam, I talked to Georgia Tech head coach Chan Gailey as he came out of the locker room. I asked him, how do you get your star receiver Calvin Johnson involved in this ball game? He said, you know what, we've tried to move him from one side to the other, but no matter what we do, they're doubling him up no matter where he goes. He said, we may have to win this one without him.
And as you see, Jimmy, so far they have done that. Only 2 catches for 16 yards for Charlie. Or for Calvin, excuse me, who comes in as the leading receiver in the league.
Well, I think Calvin has to do some things to help out as well. I think he's got to get a little more aggressive to the football. Even in jump ball situations against double coverage, he's got to go up and get the football.
Now Ball on 2nd and 8. Gets that one complete, and fighting up near the first down is James Johnson. No relation to Calvin. That is his first catch.
Well, Calvin Johnson's presence on the football field opens up so many opportunities for a run game. And P.J. Daniels, number 2 rusher in the ACC, coming into this game. And then the wide receivers like Bilbo and backs out of the backfield. They've got a lot less coverage to worry about when Calvin Johnson is being doubled on the other side.
3rd and 1. And the pitch to P.J. Daniels, and he was perilously close to losing yardage, but lunges forward to pick up the first down. Picks up 3.
Daniels didn't pick up big yardage on this play, but this is a very impressive run. Almost loses his footing, but the cut and getting north and south immediately when he felt the seam moves the chains for Georgia Tech, and that is some pretty impressive running for a former walk-on.
Put on scholarship after the 2002 season, and good enough there for a first down. Right back to Daniels over the right side of the line, and he just got a sweet block from the fullback Mike Cox and gets it up just short of the 40-yard line. 8 yards for PJ.
Now Mike Cox, number 40, the fullback for Georgia Tech, is one of the best football players on this team, and he can do it all. And when you have a fullback, you can do a lot of things on offense. You remember the great teams in the NFL in the 80s and 90s. We had the 49ers with Tom Rathman. And look at the block right here. You had Tom Rathman and, of course, Gerald Johnston in the 90s for Dallas Cowboys. A fullback gives you so many options.
Cox was a tailback in high school and has turned into a terrific blocking fullback as Daniels is stopped just short of the first down by Anthony Waters. Michael Cox is just a blocking and catching fullback. He has 0 carries on the season. There you get a good look at him. The sophomore from Lewisberry, Pennsylvania, sort of an unsung position, but still so important. And you know, P.J. Daniels and company really appreciate it. Now 3rd and a very short one for Tech. And Ball throws on 3rd and 1 and gets his man Bilbo, who gets the first down up around midfield. Michael Hemlin, who had the interception in the first half, makes the stop, but that's a 9-yard gain on the pass play.
That looks like a simple throw to the naked eye, but this is a very solid play by Reggie Ball. The key is the ball placement on Bilbo. A front pocket catch. If you give the ball to him quickly and you place the ball on him in the right spot, it makes all the difference in Bilbo picking up those yards and picking up the first down.
4 catches now for Bilbo. The former quarterback, played 9 games at quarterback in 2002, then was moved to wide receiver. Daniels again going over the right side, and he spins his way up to the 42-yard line. About 8 more. Chris Clemons making the stop, but now Daniels starting to exert himself here in the second half.
Now, this is not a big offensive line, and you mentioned, Pam, in the first half, that Chan Gailey would like to have a big physical offensive line. He'd like to run the zone play, feature zone running plays, but he doesn't have the personnel up front. They've got to move. They've got to use some pulling schemes. In the second half here, up front, Georgia Tech moving with some momentum.
They certainly are. The 8th play of this drive. The best so far for them on the day, and it's more Daniels and 1 more first down. So P.J. Daniels really starting to get it going. He had 103 yards in last year's win against Clemson. Again, a season in which he missed some games with injuries, 4 games and a couple of halves. And look at the drive.
Yeah, and this offensive line is not only getting into its rhythm, but you feel P.J. Daniels came out of the locker room, and he's really got a nice tempo to him. He's hitting the creases quickly, getting up into the line of scrimmage in a hurry, and finishing his runs.
And they go right back to Daniels, and this time not much happening. Good penetration. Tremaine Billy coming up from his linebacking spot to plug up the hole. And P.J. Daniels, kind of guy who kind of lights up a room when he comes in, was inspired. He said he wore braces in high school, and that inspired him to want to be an orthodontist, but he also says he takes acting lessons, wants to do it all, NFL, acting, and orthodonture.
You can go out to Hollywood and be an orthodontist.
He's got the smile. 2nd and 11. Little play action, Ball, and that one twists his intended receiver Cooper around, and it's incomplete. The crowd looking for a call on Nick Watkins, but they don't get it.
No, Watkins was in perfect position. And Reggie Ball tried to shade his receiver away from Watkins, but Watkins stayed at home, settled down in that short zone in the secondary. Big 3rd and 11 coming up for the Yellow Jackets.
It has so far been a good drive, eating up over 5 minutes. And this is the 11th play of this drive for Tech. Here comes the pressure, and Ball just gets it off as he was buried under by Gaines Adams. Adams, the junior from Greenwood, South Carolina, playing that new bandit end position in this Vic Koenig defense.
Yeah, you watch the top of the screen, and Gaines Adams is a speed rusher deluxe. I really believe that if he gets more solid at the point of attack in the run game, that he can be a huge factor in the NFL. You can't teach speed from the defensive end position, and Gaines Adams, he's one of the most talented players you'll see across the country.
That drive wasted as Arndt comes in. Remember, he's very good at getting punts inside the 20. Already has 1 today. Make it 2. That's as good as it gets as it dies at the 1-yard line. The 2nd time today and the 16th time this season that Arndt has plucked one inside the 20. That's at the 1. Georgia Tech had the ball for the first 5 minutes and 34 seconds of this 3rd quarter. Did not score, but they got a marvelous punt by Ben Arndt that rolled to the 1-yard line, and that is where Charlie Whitehurst and company get their first shot at it here in a 3-3 ball game in the second half. And that is the loud end of the field. Georgia Tech fans right in the ears of Clemson, and nothing doing there for Reggie Merriweather, stopped by Mansfield Rado. Let's take a look now at our Dr. Pepper ACC update Among them, 4 teams in the AP Top 25, and Virginia Tech still the only unbeaten in this league.
We have Florida State right now trailing by 10 points down in Tallahassee against Maryland. And, you know, it's going to be interesting, Pam. You talk about Virginia Tech's prospects of getting into a national title game. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the game wears on.
As Miami had to come from behind to beat North Carolina today at home. Merriweather again, this time getting about 2 yards. Miami wearing, did you see the uniforms, David? Green unis. They almost look like Notre Dame. Green uniform tops with a gold helmet and hurricane flags on them.
That's Phil Knight up in Eugene.
Woo.
Not afraid to send some flashy garb from Eugene down to Miami. But, you know, Virginia Tech, you look at their schedule and not a lot of big tests remaining for Virginia Tech to jump up into the top 2 in the BCS. Of course, they're going to get Miami. They might get a date with Florida State in the ACC championship game.
Big game coming up for Tech against Miami next Saturday night on prime time. Whitehurst from his own end zone, and it's almost intercepted. Kenny Scott, had he been able to pull that one in, would have had an easy 6. He was looking for Aaron Kelly. Clemson's got a punt from its end zone.
Well, you're under the shadow of your own goal line. You've got to be protective with the football. And not a very well thrown ball. You could see the spiral came apart on Whitehurst, and Scott really had an opportunity to put his team up by 7 points.
Boy, Kenny Scott, a couple of millimeters away from 6. Cole Chasen has had 3 punts blocked already this year, just gets that one off. Pat Clark, one of the backup receivers, gets it and takes it inside the 40-yard line. And flag down on the field. 49-yard punt from Chasen, a 14-yard return.
And I think Chasen gave the referee an earful after this punt. He thought he might have been roughed. And I think Chasen got flagged for a personal foul. He thought he was roughed after that punt. This penalty is going to go against Clemson. We talk about good field position, Pam, off a punt.
Referee Tom McCreesh straightening things out. Talking with Reggie Ball. Chasen had 1 punt in the first half. It was a shanker that only went 18 yards.
We have a live ball, personal foul, number 12 of the kicking team. That penalty is declined. First down.
C.J. Gaddis, who's a safety, called for that personal foul.
Chasen was pretty hot. You watch here, Georgia Tech's almost going to get to Chasen. Up over the top. Tough to pick up Gaddis.
That was Xavier McClure going in, and he was blocked into Chasen. Hence, no penalty. As P.J. Daniels finds some running room, Fudge, maybe with the horse collar tackle, and Daniels is all fired up.
I think Fudge is going to get hit with the face mask call here. The horse collar tackle is a new rule at the NFL level, but there's no rule at the college level.
And they did get him with the face mask. As you saw, Fudge was signaling that he did get him by the horse collar, by the back of the neck, but the officials beg to differ.
Now, Fudge has made his presence felt throughout this game, and he gets the right hand over the shoulder pad and into the face mask area. And he let go of it pretty quickly. Still, when you get the turn of the helmet, that's a dangerous play, especially at full speed with both players on the dead run. You're usually going to pick up a 15-yarder in that instance.
That one was ruled a 5-yarder, so 1st and 10 now from the 22. Oh, and Calvin Johnson just dropped that one. It was Gaines Adams able to get a fingertip on it and deflect it away. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, Iowa State and Texas A&M, 2 of the more disappointing teams in the Big 12, and I mean they are going to be big-time disappointed in College Station if this holds up. Brett Meyer buying some time, and that Carl Torbush defense has just been torched. Todd Blythe going in, Iowa State by 2 touchdowns halfway through the third.
Wow, and Texas A&M was one of the teams that a lot of people thought could do some damage before the season began, but as Reese mentioned, their defense has had all sorts of problems, and they are trailing to Iowa State. B.J. Daniels with a nice move initially, but Nick Watkins able to just nip him at the ankles, or else P.J. was going to pick up more.
We talked about this offensive line and the lack of size up front. But Chan Gailey said, we need to scheme with them. We need to pool. We need to run some counter action. And P.J. Daniels is starting to get a nice feel. He's getting good push, good movement up front, and he's making all the right decisions from the tailback position.
Former walk-on to star running back. 3rd and 5 now. Big play on the 17. Ball hangs onto it, the design run. He fumbles it. He had the first down and then fumbled it away. And Clemson gets it back. So Reggie Ball gets the first down, and then the Clemson defense gets it back.
Reggie Ball, when you're running inside the red zone, especially after picking up a first down, looked like Jamal Fudge, number 24. Terrific job of stripping the football, and Clemson will take over.
For the 3rd time today, Clemson will be starting inside its own 10-yard line. There were a couple of good punts to get them in before. How about this tricycle racing yesterday?
You know, Pam, I heard they scaled back the ground effects on these trikes. They were going too fast, you know, the last couple of years, so they had to slow them down a little bit. This race was getting too dangerous.
Yeah, you see the dog closing fast. My money's on the mutt. Tricycle racing, part of the festivities here, as that is a safety. Adam Oliver crushes Charlie Whitehurst. A flag is down. Whitehurst never had a chance.
Offsides. And what a time to get an offside call. It looked like might have been Henderson at the top of the screen. Offside, takes away a great play by Adam Oliver, number 42. You know, on the bootlegs, as a quarterback, you come out blind. You make your fake, and then you come out on that edge blind. Adam Oliver was right there to meet him, and Henderson, in the neutral zone, takes away points from the Yellow Jackets.
That is the 4th offsides penalty called against Georgia Tech today. 8 penalties in all, so you're right, take the 2 points away. Of course, after safety, Tech would have gotten the ball right back. So now 1st and 5, Merriweather is met by Jarris Wilkinson, the middle linebacker, in the thick of things again.
I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of action in this football game for a 3-3 tie, ticking down on 6 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And you know, on one end, you say, hey, it's been sloppy, football's all over the field, penalties. But Pam, this has the makings of that, a finish like we had a year ago between these two teams.
And in that game, 3 touchdowns by Georgia Tech in the last 5 minutes as they won 28-24. This series that has just been full of close calls. Clemson's whole season this year has been full of close calls. Reggie Merriweather breaking free. Kenny Scott finally makes the stop, and Merriweather picks up 22.
Reggie Merriweather really shows his versatility. He shows that he can run in between the tackles, and then the speed to cut back and run away from linebackers into the secondary. And Merriweather is the type of back you like to have, the type of guy who can pound away for the tough yards inside, but he's still capable of breaking off that long run for you.
2nd straight game now that Reggie has gone over 100 yards. He had 108 last week against Temple. He's right at 108 now. His 4th career 100-yard game. And Clemson's going to take a timeout. So the longest play by either team today, 22 yards. Merriweather with the big carry. He's over a century. We'll be back.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Nissan, who reminds you to shift the way you move through the world. and Napa Auto Care Centers. Napa, get the good stuff.
Reggie Merriweather with a 22-yard run right before Clemson's timeout. The longest play of the day, which shows you what kind of day it has been. Not a lot of long plays, but a lot of mistakes. Whitehurst going down, as does a flag. And the ball is picked up, but the officials say it was dead. It's Philip Wheeler coming in on Whitehurst.
And I think Roman Fry, the left guard, not only gave up the sack, he's going to get hit with a hold here.
Holding by the offense. Downs decline.
Let's go back to Reese Davis now. Reese.
All right, Pam, that battle down in Jacksonville, Georgia and Florida. The Dogs have had trouble getting their offense going. Joe Tarashinsky almost tripped, but Thomas Brown, Tarashinsky back to his feet and makes an incredible grab for the touchdown, and the Dogs are back in it, down 4 to the Gators late in the third.
Joe Tarashinsky, of course, the third-generation Joe Tarashinsky playing for Georgia. What a thrill for that guy. He was starting quarterback for Georgia, and you score a touchdown. You catch one.
All the makings of a great outdoor cocktail party.
What a place to be now. On second down, Kyle Browning spelling Merriweather. Gets set up around the 43-yard line. K. Michael Hall making the stop. Let's take a look at the ACC standings. There you see Clemson and Georgia Tech and different divisions in this conference, and what has just become a stacked football conference in college football.
Yeah, I think this is the toughest conference in the country now. I think it's overtaken the SEC, and you look at programs like Clemson and Georgia Tech with the additions of Miami and Virginia Tech. I mean, we got Boston College as well. Very tough for programs like Tech and Clemson to vie for a championship.
And on third down, that pass is incomplete. Again, trying to get it to Aaron Kelly. In fact, Clemson has not won an ACC title since the year before Florida State joined the conference. Florida State dominating until last year when Virginia Tech joined in. Terrific conference, and next week, Virginia Tech with a great test against Miami. Cole Chasen and the punt on 4th and 6. In this 3-3 ball game. Pat Clark. Good height on it. Gets it at the 14. And he goes down around the 26-yard line where Georgia Tech takes over. 43-yard punt, 12-yard return. Coming up at 7 Eastern, if you like offense, tune in. Chad Henne in Michigan takes on Brett Bazinet, Tyrell Sutton, and the high-powered offense of Northwestern. This game available in high definition on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. College football primetime presented by Polaroid at 7 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. We look forward to that game. Here's Jimmy Dykes.
Actually talked to Brett Bazinet on his cell phone Tuesday night, and he said, let me tell you how big this ball game is on our campus. The students right now aren't talking about the exam they have this week. They're talking about this football game. He thinks it'll be like Ohio State atmosphere last year.
Remember, they beat Ohio State last year up in Evanston, and Bazinet has been terrific. And coming around is James Johnson. That is snuffed out immediately by 4 guys in purple pants, led by Jamal Fudge, who's been all over the place. Gaines Adams also helping to string things along.
Gaines Adams, great discipline. Yeah, he's a speed rusher, as we talked about. But watch big number 93. Let's freeze it right there. And number 93, Gaines Adams. That's a big 250, 260-pound defensive end who stayed at home and then had the speed to track down a wide receiver behind the line of scrimmage.
Gaines Adams looking at tape of DeMarcus Ware, who played for Vic Koenig at Troy last year and was taken the 11th overall pick in the NFL draft. And Bilbo catches it for a huge play as he picks up 29 yards on his 5th catch of the day.
What about the arm strength of Reggie Ball? I mean, he has a little bit of a windup in his delivery, and he gains some arm strength with the windup. Watch how he'll drop the ball down a little bit below his waist, but this is a perfectly thrown ball. And Pam, when Reggie Ball came in as a freshman 2 years ago, he was in a battle in fall camp with Demarius Bilbo for that starting quarterback position. Ball won the job. Bilbo's become a more than serviceable wide receiver.
As they connect there for a huge game. Now 1st and 10 at midfield. P.J. Daniels, another flag down as Daniels goes down right away. Jamal Fudge again in on the stop. We've had a lot of penalties.
We've had a lot of offense for a 3-3 game.
Hold against Tech. That's our 14th penalty of the afternoon.
You know, typically when you look up on a scoreboard late in the third quarter, you see 3-3. You figure there hasn't been much offense, but these offenses have moved the ball up and down the field, Pam. They haven't been able to convert.
48 of the offense. 10 yards in the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Tight end Michael Matthews called for holding. We have 427 yards of total offense between these two teams and only 6 points.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a barn burner. This isn't, you know, we had Northwestern Wisconsin about 3 weeks ago, over 1,100 yards of total offense. But as Tommy Bowden and Chan Gailey look out at the field, they realize that turnovers, missed field goals, mistakes have killed drives.
That's right. In fact, 5 turnovers and 2 missed field goals, killing the drives. Calvin Johnson making the catch around the original line of scrimmage. And guess what? Another penalty flag.
It's so tough for Calvin Johnson, and it has to be frustrating for this young man. You know, they do all the things you can do. A personal foul against Georgia Tech. But Chan Gailey tries to do all the things you can do to get off of double coverage. Motioning Calvin Johnson, lining him up in the slot.
Personal foul. 61 of the offense. 15 yards from the end of the run. Still first down.
Now it's Big Matt Rhodes. Things getting a little nasty down in the trenches. Calvin Johnson, they motion him, they line him up in the slot. You know, in the slot, at least it gives you the whole field. It gives you a two-way go down the football field. But at some point, as Chan Gailey told Jimmy Dykes, you got to forget about him and take advantage of the other athletes. And it's got to be frustrating for Johnson.
Bilbo getting open a couple of times today, but you have to give credit to Vic Koenig, the first-year defensive coordinator at Clemson, former head coach at Wyoming, and was the architect of a Troy defense that had 25 interceptions and forced 32 turnovers last year. They went to a bowl game as Reggie Ball only picks up a couple. Jamal Fudge again in on the action. Let's go back to Reese Davis for an update. Reese.
All right, Pam. Maryland and Florida State, the Terps built a 24-14 lead, but Drew Weatherford throw it up high, let Greg Carr grab it. He's the reigning ACC Rook of the Week. Noles now down by 3 late in the third.
As any Maryland fan can tell you that no lead is safe when you take on teams like Florida State. Remember, Maryland beat Florida State last year. They're playing them down in Tallahassee today. 3rd and 23. Personal foul really backing up Georgia Tech on this drive. So they give it to Daniels. And PJ gets it up just short of the 45-yard line. Sergio Gilliam making the stop. 9 yards for Daniels. And a smattering of boos cascading down now. And not Halloween boos, but we don't like this football boo.
No, that's a good call by Chan Gailey. And again, reverting back to his experience at the NFL level, it's not realistic to pick up the first down in that situation. And you don't want to turn the ball over at midfield. He gets a nice run off tackle, picks up some field position, and trusts his defense.
Ben Arndt in. Will we get another one inside the 20? Well, it's fielded at the 15 by Chansi Stuckey. And he's able to pick up a few more yards, tackled down around the 26. 40-yard punt, 11-yard return. The ESPN College Football Encyclopedia, the biggest, richest reference guide ever published in the history of this great sport. Box scores for every major bowl game ever published. There's profiles, records, statistics for every D1 school, including this great tradition at Georgia Tech. Look at these coaches who have come through here. Of course, they won 4 national championships, last in 1990, which they shared with Colorado.
Here's our own Bill Curry.
How about Bill?
Boy, he's looking dapper back in the 80s. Bobby Ross, we talked about his national championship in 1990.
Split it with Colorado, even though Colorado had a tie and a loss. They were #1 in the AP and USA Today poll. Tech #1 in the UPI poll, which was the coaches poll back then.
Yeah, this was emotion. penalty against Clemson.
Prior to the snap, false start, line of the offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Clemson had men in motion, and when you get two in motion at the same time, they blow that play dead.
Second false start against Clemson, and there you see the penalties now up to a healthy 16 with 14 seconds left here in a scoreless third quarter.
I really believe that the defenses for Chan Gailey and Tommy Bowden in this football game are creating a lot of problems. They're bringing zone pressure. The defensive ends have played well for both teams. And I think the defenses have really created a lot of these mistakes, including the penalties.
Let's see what Clemson does now on 1st and 15. Stuckey coming in motion, gets the handoff, and then gets wrestled down to Dawan Landry. Staying with him, taking him down, and that will end the third quarter. A scoreless third quarter. Clemson and Georgia Tech have had wild finishes the last few times that they've played, and this game has all the makings of another one coming up. We head to the fourth quarter, tied up at 3 apiece. About to get underway in a tie game in the fourth quarter, and look who's looking on. Paul Hewitt, the head men's basketball coach here at Georgia Tech. Not seeing a lot of offense. And he's sticking out and staying the whole way. Whitehurst, he is going up top for his talented young receiver, Aaron Kelly, but he was step for step. Good defense by Kenny Scott. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, Fisher DeBerry at the center of controversy this week for his comments after the TCU game. His team, Air Force, taking on BYU, and Air Force's Charles Wells flipping over and giving up his body for the blocked punt. Garrett Reebok takes it in, and BYU putting it on DeBerry's team, 48-27. They're still in the fourth.
Been a very long year for the Air Force Academy, used to dominating there in the Commander-in-Chief race, but now Navy, the better of the 3 Service Academy teams.
It's gotten a little bit longer, too, with some of the off-the-field issues, media problems.
3rd and 15, Whitehurst up top, tight end, got it, first down. Thomas Hunter. Hunter at 6'4", extending and bringing that in for a 16-yard gain.
Well, Hunter is an ex-walk-on, and this is a heroic play from a tight end. I mean, you got to really be tough, and you got to play with courage down the middle of the field. Go up for the high throw. You know you're going to take the hit. And watch Hunter cushion the blow by turning his back and using his body after the catch. Nice play by the young tight end.
It certainly was. I shorted him on that. He got 21 yards, not 16 on a 3rd and 15. Great play. And now Merriweather trying to pick his way through the right side of the line and picks up a yard or two.
Reggie Merriweather.
Hunter, a walk-on transfer, started his career at Hamden-Sydney. They have another tight end who actually is available today, Cole Downer, number 90, who 6 weeks ago had his spleen removed, got hit very hard in the game against Miami, and remarkably has been cleared to play football.
Well, we talked about some of the hits you take down the football field as a tight end in addition to your blocking duties along the offensive front.
He's been cleared after initially being told he wouldn't play football again. Stuckey with the catch, gets a good block, and is able to get all the way down inside the 30. One of his receivers gave him a really nice block downfield.
Well, I think it might have been DJ Jones. Let's watch again. Go ahead and roll it outside, and he's going to get a nice block out on from a wide receiver, but he also got a great block at the line of scrimmage to spring Stuckey.
It's a 28-yard gain. LaDonte Harris, number 26 for Clemson. Give him some props. He was one of those on the left side who helped Stuckey get free. He now has 82 yards worth of catches today. 1st and 10 from the 28 for the Tigers. Merriweather, again off the right side, picking up about 3 on first down.
Well, this is a point in the football game and the field position for Clemson where you really got to buckle down. You got a senior quarterback, a guy who's been through the wars before. Been in a lot of big battles. Big wins against highly ranked teams like Miami, Florida State over the years. And Whitehurst, if he can get his offense into the end zone, he'll give Tommy Bowden a real leg up. This is a critical game for both teams and their bowl aspirations down the stretch.
Both teams with 4 wins, needing 2 more to get bowl eligible. And nothing is assured in this tough ACC. Stuckey gonna throw one. And it's just off the fingertips of Baham. So Chansi Stuckey, the wide receiver, chucking one into the end zone, and it's now a 3rd down coming up.
Not a bad ball from Chansi. And Chansi was on the roll and dropped the ball in. Might have gotten that ball up a count or two earlier to leave some room for Baham in the back of the end zone.
And you know, Stuckey actually has thrown 2 touchdowns for, or excuse me, 2 passes for touchdowns. That came back in the 03 season, so he has done it before. 3rd and 7. And that one is off the hands of Aaron Kelly. Kelly, who Charlie Whitehurst said will leave as perhaps the best receiver ever at this school, just dropped that one.
Yeah, I think this ball might have gotten to his helmet. Georgia Tech was bringing a strong safety blitz. Perfectly thrown ball. And that ball just ate him up. And Whitehurst couldn't ask for a better throw from Charlie Whitehurst. Wide receiver let him down.
Jad Dean, 1 for 2 in field goals, in for a 42-yarder and the lead. And it hit one of the goalposts and went in. So Dean, in this crazy football game, able to just squeeze one in off the upright. Clemson leads by 3. Jad Dean hitting the right upright, but scooching it through for a 2nd field goal of the day. Our progressive scoring drive. 9 plays, 49 yards, 2.5 minutes eaten up by Clemson, and Dean putting through his 2nd field goal of the day and giving Clemson the 6-3 lead. Still plenty of time left to go in this 4th quarter. Chris Woods, a couple of yards deep in the end zone. Hunted down and taken down at the 15. Now let's look at our Napa game track. Huge day for Eric Henderson. A couple of sacks and forced fumbles. Charlie Whitehurst giving it up both times. There's the 2nd one. And Jad Dean with a couple of field goals. This is his most recent one. That's a friendly plunk off the right upright for Dean. He's 2 for 3 on the day. And Clemson has the lead. Ball, plenty of time to throw, and he finds Calvin Johnson. Johnson's 4th catch of the day, good for a 1st down. 4 very quiet catches today.
I don't know how Reggie Ball got this through the window. Sometimes as a quarterback, you got to find windows and seams to throw the ball past linemen. He was facing some heat in the pocket. And to throw the ball over the middle. Reggie Ball is less than 6 feet tall. And a nice job of finding Calvin Johnson. Great vision from the quarterback position.
Because Anthony Waters was among those right there. Choice now with the carry. Slips away from a would-be tackler and breaks it upfield. Tashard Choice, the sophomore, getting it all the way down to around the 32-yard line.
Well, you can't give Tashard Choice the ability to bounce the ball outside. And that's just a nice job by a young running back of bouncing the ball when he has the opportunity. And how about the work by Demarius Bilbo down the field, blocking as a wide receiver.
33-yard gain, the longest of Choice's career at Georgia Tech. He's a transfer from Oklahoma. Coming over here to Tech, backing up P.J. Daniels. We'll get more carries, obviously, next year when Daniels leaves, and back-to-back carries for Choice. Taken down by Nick Watkins as we head down the field again in Jimmy Dice.
Well, head coach Changaly also calls the plays within the football game, and it's a very structured process. As soon as a play is over, He gets from upstairs the down and distance, and from that point on, he doesn't want anything else in his headset. He then selects the play and passes it on to offensive coordinator Patrick Nix, who signals it in, ideally about 20 seconds on the snap clock. But he wants input from his assistants between possessions only. While Georgia Tech has the ball, those headsets are awfully quiet in his ear.
Doesn't want a lot of radio interference, and Chan Gailey has always demonstrated the ability to call plays, even as a head coach.
Back into the game is P.J. Daniels, and that's another first down. C.J. Gaddis making the stop, but Daniels busting loose for 16.
And what I love about Daniels is he really hits it north and south. And what I mean by north and south is when he has the opportunity to cut the football upfield, it's a straight line. Gets to the edge, and look at the north-south action in the ball upfield. He does a great job of accelerating in seams. What a second half as you look at the numbers.
So P.J. Daniels and Tashard Choice running well on this drive. Now the fifth play, they've already gone 72 yards. More Daniels slides and twists inside the 10-yard line.
Well, as you get down into the red zone, things become more compressed. All of a sudden, as a wide receiver and in the throwing game, you don't have enough room to work with to get receivers vertical. And Calvin Johnson, he's been getting doubled all afternoon. Things are going to be even tighter. But then again, Calvin Johnson has that size and the jumping ability to go up and get it.
Third time today, Georgia Tech is into the red zone. Choice goes down in the arms of Anthony Waters. P.J. Daniels today at 96 yards, now over 3,000 yards in his Georgia Tech career. And there's some of the ball control and how even we have been offensively.
And I didn't really like the play call there on second down. We're talking about Chan Gailey, and he's proven, but you put a lot on your shoulders of your quarterback by making him throw on third down here. I thought play action on second down might have been the best chance to get some freedom and some areas in the end zone to throw to.
He's got Calvin Johnson, the big talent, to his right. But he's looking the other way, throws it underneath the Choice. He will vault very close to the first down. Gains Adams again, showing his speed. The rush end going in to make the stop. Where it's spotted right now, that's right on the first down marker. And it is a first down.
Well, Reggie Ball is an experienced quarterback. And once again, nice placement to Choice. Look at number 93, Gaines Adams. That's a defensive end getting outside. Choice is going to pick up the first down. You look at the running ability of Adams, and he can really close down things in a hurry from that defensive end position.
And remember, he's 6'5", 260. He is a big guy with a lot of speed, still has a year left in school. Daniels hit at the line of scrimmage by Waters, but uses his power to get a couple of yards closer to the goal line.
Yeah, when you break a tackle from Waters, you've got those legs moving and using a low center of gravity. Not many runners can get through a tackle by Waters at that middle linebacker position. Picked up an extra 2 yards for the Yellow Jackets down near the goal line.
Waters, his first year playing in the middle, taking that spot from Leroy Hill, who was the defensive player of the year last year in the entire ACC, and he's done a terrific job. Second and goal now from the 3. Daniels tackled down just short of the goal line. And it is a touchdown. The officials waited until they got right up on the football, and we have our first touchdown of the game. P.J. Daniels' third rushing touchdown of the season, capping off a 9-play, 85-yard drive. Bell's extra point is good, and Tech up by 4.
It's all about winning the battle up front in short yardage situations, goal line situations. The Yellow Jackets offensive line wins this battle.
P.J. Daniels, the future actor and orthodontist, showing those pearly whites. Plenty to be smiling about. His third touchdown of the season. Tech ran 7 times in that 9-play drive. Daniels and Choice really chewing up some good yardage.
And you look at the last 3 games, P.J. Daniels has been dinged up. He's been injured. And that last drive, 4 carries, 23 yards, 99 total yards on the day, a yard from going over the 100-yard mark against a tough defense against the run. That was quite a drive.
Very impressive drive, 85 yards and 409, and the lead. Aaron Kelly breaking free with the kickoff, a couple of guys to beat, and Kelly is finally just nudged out of bounds by Jamal Lewis. But Aaron Kelly with a terrific 81-yard kick return.
Well, Aaron Kelly, the redshirt freshman, they say he has just touched the tip of the iceberg with his talent. He's long and he's lean and he has big-time speed. And he has just turned momentum around in this football game in a hurry. That is a lanky stride, and he was pulling away. The last Yellow Jacket had the angle. So that's a game changer.
Aaron Kelly from Marietta, Georgia, says he was recruited by Georgia Tech but not offered a scholarship, has a lot of family here, and you know they love that 81-yard return. Merriweather with the big hole. Gets it down to the 6-yard line. First down and goal for Clemson.
Merriweather, he was smelling the goal line here. First, he feels the crease. Boom, he's up into the linebacker core, and then he was looking for the end zone. Got knocked off his feet. But I'm very impressed with the way Merriweather hits it when he feels an opening. 124 yards. A lot more work to go here late in the fourth quarter.
Clemson trying to respond from Georgia Tech's first touchdown of the game, anybody's first touchdown of the game. Right back to Merriweather trying the left side of the offensive line, and not so much as he goes down in his tracks.
Now, this was an offensive line that really gelled against North Carolina State a couple weeks ago. They had been grasping for the balance of run and pass. Really hadn't put a game together along those lines, and against the Wolfpack, this team really developed up front as an offensive line, and we're seeing it this afternoon.
Well, they were very impressive in that game. It was at NC State, won it 31-10, and they beat up on Temple last week. And here we go, second and goal from the 6. Merriweather again, and another solid tackle from Eric Henderson, but he still picked up 4 yards.
And Eric Henderson closed things down right now against Merriweather on that run. Merriweather will have his eyes wide open testing that left side next time. Boy, Eric Henderson, he is really one of those guys at the college level. The scouts are looking at him and saying, we can't wait to get him into a pass rush system defensively on Sundays.
He's been a force ever since he came to Georgia Tech. Freshman All-American. He's been All-ACC ever since he came here. Third and goal. And no play. Flags down, whistles before the snap.
Now, Whitehurst might have let the play clock go to 0. And there you see the officials. I think they may be pointing to the 25-second clock.
Prior to the snap, we have delay of game.
Wow.
On the offense. 5 yards, still third down. Please reset the game clock to 6:27, 6:27.
Well, we heard Jimmy Dykes talk to Tommy Bowden at halftime. And Tommy Bowden saying, hey, the fumbles, Whitehurst can't make those mistakes as a senior. He just had a senior cornerback take a delay of game penalty, 3rd and goal on the 3, and maybe the biggest game of the season for Clemson. And you can't forgive that. A quarterback's got to find the 25-second clock when he breaks the huddle. He had a timeout there. He could have used it. You don't give up 5 yards when you're on the 3-yard line.
7th Clemson penalty of the day, first delay, so now 3rd and goal from the 8. Play clock at 2 when he snaps it this time, and another flag is down as Kyle Browning gets the carry.
Now, this is most likely going to go against Clemson again. I think this is going to be a legal procedure. Man in motion. Oh, they caught Tech in the neutral zone.
That's the 5th offside on Tech today, David.
And Clemson had a man in motion. A lot of noise down in the end zone.
Defense, number 35 offside, half the distance to the goal, still 3rd down.
K. Michael Hall. And Charlie Whitehurst operating down in the end zone. Right here. K. Michael Hall. And we've seen a lot of defenders for Georgia Tech try to time the snap.
The timing has been off. 5 offsides, penalties, 11 total. So now 3rd and goal from the 4. Whitehurst into the end zone and a terrific play. Kenny Scott knocking it away from Chansi Stuckey. Great timing. And Clemson's going to have to settle for a field goal try.
You know, Kenny Scott had to line up against Calvin Johnson in spring and throughout fall practice, and it was either going to make him a better player or he was going to become a defeated quarterback, a guy that lost all hope. And Kenny Scott survived those showdowns throughout spring and fall, and he's had a great season and a pretty nice game this afternoon.
Junior from Daytona Beach, 21 yards now for Jad Dean. Plunked one off the right upright last time out. And this one sails through. But still a minor win for the Georgia Tech defense. They come away, still have the lead, in large part because of Kenny Scott's great play.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, one taste and you get it.
See some of the homecoming floats, kind of combining homecoming and Halloween. Probably some pretty good floats here at Georgia Tech, don't you think? All these engineering students, they could probably come up with some good stuff.
You see some of the fans here today. I think they can just roll it right through to Monday night.
Couple of interesting outfits right there for the Georgia Tech fans. Up 10-9. Woods gets it and takes it out. Stopped short of the 15-yard line. Let's head back to Reese Davis. Good news for the state of New Jersey. Reese?
The State University of New Jersey, Pam, they haven't been bowl eligible since '92. They haven't actually been to a bowl since 1978. But when Devon Thompson picks off that Navy pass, it seals it. And Greg Schiano has that elusive 6th victory now in the Big East. You got to feel like they are locked down come those goalposts. 31-21. Rutgers over Navy. They've won 6.
It's probably been a long time since goalposts came down at Rutgers University. Congratulations to them. Of course, Navy's a pretty good football team. And a great win for them. This is the time of year when people start thinking about those 6 wins and getting bowl eligible, getting those precious spots.
Including these 2 teams. And there's that statistic. 8 of the last 9, 5 or less. And I'd say we're pretty well positioned for a nice finish here as well, Pam.
And a loss on that run. I mean, this is a huge possession, needless to say, for Georgia Tech. Last time they had the ball, they chewed up 4 minutes and 9 seconds and got the touchdown, the only touchdown of this game. And they could use a drive just like that one. And Daniels cutting back inside. And they're going to be looking at about a 3rd and 9. Rashad Jackson with the stop.
And Chan Gailey, you know, he loves to pound away at you on the ground. He's gotten a real solid game from his offensive front. They've stuck to their game plan. P.J. Daniels has given them some good flash from the tailback position. But sometime here in the final 5 minutes, it's going to be on the shoulders of Reggie Ball to make a play or two in the pass game if the Yellow Jackets are going to win.
Clemson has 2 timeouts remaining, a huge 3rd and 9. Ball stepping up, has to hang on to it, and he will be stopped well short as there was terrific coverage by the secondary of Clemson, and they're going to get the football back.
Reggie Ball working in the pocket, always a threat to pull the football down. And on that last play, didn't like what he saw downfield. You got to credit him. There's still a lot of time left here. Don't turn it over in your own end with a 1-point lead.
That was one thing he mentioned to us yesterday in our meeting. The 2 things: don't take sacks or turn the ball over. And he at least did that. Now 4th down, Ben Arndt has been terrific as a punter, but that one not so good, as it sails out of bounds, and Clemson will have good field position as it is marked at the 48-yard line. Only a 32-yard punt for Arndt, who's been terrific today. What a game last year. Reggie Ball, 8-yard pass to Calvin Johnson with a $1:28 left. Clemson up 24-21. Then Cole Chasen can't hang on to this snap. One more chance for Reggie Ball. You go to number 21. He outjumps Justin Miller, now in the NFL. And Georgia Tech, 3 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. They win it.
That was back when Calvin Johnson was a relative unknown. Defenses and defensive coordinators have schemed this year to take him away.
Had over 120 yards with the catches, 3 touchdowns as Baham, nifty running, gets it close to the 1st down. Curtis's 2nd catch.
Well, and as an offense and as a quarterback, 3:24 left on the clock. You're looking for points, and your first priority is to take the lead here. But you also have the opportunity to work on the clock a little bit. You know, ideally, if you're looking ahead, you'd like to work that clock, get down in field goal position, kick a field goal, and run into the locker room.
1st and 10 for the 41. Flag is down. As Merriweather is stopped by Wilkinson, but in a day of flags, we have another one thrown. It's the 19th penalty of the game, and it's a hold against the Tigers.
That's got to kill a head coach and an offensive coordinator. You get a nice play on 1st down. You're in Georgia Tech territory.
63 of the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat 1st down.
And Pam, this changes the whole outlook of your play call. I mean, you're able to get to runs on 1st and 10. They got the great pick up on 1st down to get into Georgia Tech territory. And now all of a sudden your play calling totally changes. You're facing 1st and 20 for Tommy Bowden. And he's fit to be tied.
2nd hold called today against Clemson, but it is 1st and 20 as we hit the 3-minute mark in the game. Bam again with the catch. Just inside of Tech territory. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, Georgia and Florida. Gators clinging to a 4-point lead. 4th and 11. Joe Tarashinsky feeling the heat and cannot make the play on 4th down. And the game has just come to an end. Florida by 4 over Georgia. Dogs go down for the 1st time.
So Georgia going into that game as the underdog, and Florida coming away with the victory.
Clemson could be in 4-down territory here, Pam.
Jad Dean with a pretty good leg, and that one just sails over Aaron Kelly. Kelly at 6'5". Unable to bring that one in, and now 3rd and 16. And there is Jad Dean, and one of the best field goal kickers in the nation, leading the nation with 2.4 field goals on average per game.
They have an opportunity to get him within his range without picking up the 1st down. A lot will be determined here on the 3rd down play. If Clemson can pick up some yards, even if they don't pick up the 1st down, it gives them the ability to, 1, go for it on 4th down, or 2, a long try with Jad Dean.
His career long, by the way, is 48 yards, and a timeout is taken by the Tigers. So they have 1 left. 2 minutes and 18 seconds left to go. 3rd and 17.
Yeah, and that timeout right there is tough because that limits your options. You know, before calling that timeout, Clemson had the ability, if they don't pick up yards here, to maybe punt the ball back to Georgia Tech and then trust their defense to hold with field position. But burning that timeout, now all of a sudden you're very tight here, Pam, and you might have to go for it on 4th down, even if it's 4th and longer than 10.
When this game is over, coming up at the top of the hour, a Big Ten matchup, Chad Henne leading Michigan into Evanston to take on Brett Bazinet, Tyrell Sutton, and the high-powered offense of Northwestern. Michigan Northwestern also available on ESPN HD in high definition. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. College football primetime presented by Polaroid at the top of the hour. It's going to be a great one.
Can Kirk Herbstreit pull the hat trick? You know, he picked the upset against Wisconsin. Northwestern backed him up on that one. And then the big upset at Michigan State. Tonight, Kirk Herbstreit is picking Northwestern at home against Michigan.
He is sticking with them. Lee Corso going the other way, going with Michigan. But again, Brett Bazinet, great season for the quarterback for Northwestern, telling our Jimmy Dykes today the campus has been crazy all week. It'll be a great one, and you can watch it as soon as this game is over. But we have to settle this. 3rd and 16 for the Tigers in a very loud stadium. And that's Stuckey as Whitehurst gets it over. Kenny Scott on the coverage. That kills the clock. But they're going to be about 7 yards short of the 1st down.
Yeah, this would be about a 65-yarder for Jad Dean. There's no comfort level for Tommy Bowden here. You picked up yards. I think Tommy Bowden is going to go for the 1st down here. It's not his only option, but you only have 1 timeout left.
And they're going to take their last timeout.
And if you take your last timeout, you're not thinking about punting here. You're going for it on 4th down. And this game, Pam, will come down to a 4th and 7.
So Clemson burns its final timeout, only fitting, and these two teams have been playing close games, and they will continue to play each other, even though they are in different divisions in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So they will continue to play each other because they are permanent rivals in opposite divisions in the new setup in the ACC. And there's Gailey getting a little input between plays. Patrick Nix chatting it over. As let's go down now to Reese Davis.
All right, Pam, you guys are having an offensive struggle. Florida State and Maryland in a shootout, 27-21. Drew Weatherford going to show off the feet, gets a couple of blocks downfield and gets into the end zone to put the Seminoles on top by 1. And then they answer with another drive, and James Coleman, the big fullback, punching it in. Seminoles by 8, inside 4.5 to go.
That's good news for Virginia Tech fans because Florida State, Virginia Tech to move up in the BCS, you want Florida State to stay undefeated, or at least undefeated down the stretch into an ACC championship game situation.
So Florida State trailing most of that game against Maryland, coming back and now taking the lead. Miami was down at the half today to North Carolina and came from behind to win in their snazzy uniforms. Here we go, 4th and 7 now.
And the key is for your offensive line to hold up. If Whitehurst can get good protection here, you can pick up a 4th and 7.
Clemson has converted 6 of its 9 4th downs this year. Here's the ball game. Whitehurst to Baham, and another play. Kenny Scott has been remarkable. Georgia Tech gets the football back. Tommy Bowden with an earful for Charlie Whitehurst, but we saw Scott earlier in this quarter knock away a potential touchdown pass, and now a great tackle.
And how do you go to a wide receiver with only 4 or 5 yards of depth on 4th and 7? Baham is a big play wide receiver. I don't know how you have a route out to the wide side of the field. Actually, that was the short side, but still a single man to the top of the screen along the Clemson bench, and you have Baham run a 5-yard route on a 4th and 7 and the game hanging in the balance.
And as you mentioned earlier, with a senior experienced quarterback like Whitehurst, you would expect that maybe from someone who's less experienced, but he's a senior and he does that.
Well, and I don't know how Baham doesn't go and get beyond the chains with his route and drive that cornerback off. I'd be very surprised if that was the play design that Baham would be checking up at 5 yards. You got to get receivers down beyond the chains with the football game on the line.
And boy, Tommy Bowden's face says it all. And Kenny Scott again with the tackle, and K. Michael Hall, the linebacker, was there to back him up. There's Kenny.
What a
second-year starter. Terrific game for him.
I mean, he has been just perfect at cornerback. Playing passes, coming up on tackles against the run.
Clemson has no timeouts left as we are inside of 2 minutes.
Well, and you remember last year, Georgia Tech, if they don't pick up a first down here, they're going to be forced to punt, Pam.
And some confusion now as Ball runs over towards the sideline. Georgia Tech does have 2 timeouts remaining.
Now, the key is Clemson doesn't have timeouts, but with this much time on the clock, you're probably going to have a few ticks left on 4th down.
You know what they're doing? They're running in a new center as Eddie Parker is coming in. Kevin Tuminello, the starting center, now on the sidelines. I don't know if he's an equipment problem, but very quickly Parker snapped one close to the sidelines to Reggie Ball, a little practice snap, and then Ball ran back.
Well, this is interesting because a lot of teams won't go to a knee when they know they can't absolutely run out the clock. And there are most likely going to be ticks left when Georgia Tech makes the decision to punt the ball or not. And you certainly don't have a safety as an option here, Ben, with a 1-point lead. So most likely, Chan Gailey is going to be faced with a decision on how to handle this 4th down situation.
Eddie Parker with 1 perfect snap, and Tuminello has run back in the center. So now on 3rd and 10. They played as safe as you can as Ball just takes a knee.
You watch the Georgia Tech players, they're slow to unpile. They're not going to let those officials get in there to the football if they can help it. 41 seconds left. And counting.
Look for them to take a delay here.
And there's about a 10-second differential, maybe 9 seconds. Georgia Tech's going to take a timeout. With that big a differential, you're thinking Georgia Tech, can they burn the clock by having a ball carrier run around with the football?
Reggie Ball is that kind of ball carrier.
Wow.
They do let it run down, and they will take the penalty.
And this is not a comfort zone if you're Chan Gailey, because you're going to have to get a punt. Remember what happened last year, Pam.
And correct myself, no penalty. They were able to take the timeout before the clock ran down, and this is the play.
Reggie Ball into the end zone to cut the lead, and then Clemson, all they needed to do was execute a punt. Couldn't get it done. Reggie Ball to Calvin Johnson. Deja vu. We're right back in that situation. Only this time, the tables are turned, and it's Georgia Tech faced with a punting situation.
So Tech was able to get that timeout right before the play clock wound down to 0. And they do have 1 remaining, but all that matters now is there's only 9 seconds left and no timeouts for Clemson.
And you can't have a ball carrier or quarterback run around behind the line of scrimmage because 9 seconds is too long. And some offenses, some coaches with about 4, 5, 6 seconds left in a game will drop a quarterback back quickly and then throw a bomb down the field to expire the clock. But I think Georgia Tech with 9 seconds, they're just going to have to get the punt off.
Chan Gailey sending in Ben Arndt, who has never had a punt block. No one is back for Clemson, so they're going to try to block this with all their hearts. 7th punt of the day for Arndt. He gets it away cleanly, and that's
still time on the clock.
A short kick. That's 2 straight short kicks for Arndt. He had a 32-yarder before. And this one, with 3 seconds left on the clock.
Now we're going to see a Hail Mary here, Pam. And Whitehurst is going to have to take a shot down the field. He's going to have to get it in the air about 64, 65 yards into the end zone.
Marked on the 41 of Clemson. Our Nexium player of the game is Kenny Scott. A couple of huge pass break up 6 tackles, and that last tackle was huge on Baham on 4th down.
Now you remember the miracle Colorado at Michigan a few years back. Cordell Stewart and Colorado had the ball at the 36, so this can be done.
Whitehurst throws it towards the end zone, and Georgia Tech, Dawan Landry with the interception. That ends the game, and the Yellow Jackets take it 10-9. So Georgia Tech, the only touchdown of the day, P.J. Daniels with a 3-yard touchdown run. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For David Norrie and Jimmy Dykes, our entire crew, I'm Pam Ward. Coming up next, it's Michigan and Northwestern, but first let's go to Reese Davis with the College Game Day scoreboard presented by Acura.